Chapter 23:42. Tang Ao naturally saw the change in Jia Qian's expression. Tang Ao was a little surprised. Tang Ao was already a Grade 4 Immortal Array Master. If Tang Ao was willing, Tang Ao could become a Grade 4 Battle Array Master with a little practice. Tang Ao did not think that Jia Qian was better than him. After all, Tang Ao had the inheritance of a Grade 9 Array Emperor and had cultivated in the space-time mystic realm for 1,000 years. Tang Ao would not be stingy with his praise if he felt that it was amazing. However, Jia Qian had not reached the level for Tang Ao to praise him. "Alright, there are 5 of us now. I will talk about the situation in the cave abode." Chen Zian immediately changed the topic when he saw that Tang Ao, Jia Qian, and Shui Haiqing were not very sociable. The reason why he had asked Tang Ao to come was to break the spirit array formation outside the cave with the help of the few of them, not to make things difficult for each other. "I found this cave abode by accident 10 days ago, but I was teleported to this place by a teleportation array in the Heavenly Fire Ruins. There is an array restriction at the entrance of the cave abode. After this restriction is attacked, it becomes transparent and everything inside can be seen clearly. What I know now is that there is pure gold sand, heavenly stalwart steel, and some rush grass in the cave abode." Chen Zian suddenly remembered that Tang Ao needed the 9-colored heaven fire crystal, so he added, "Of course, there is also a large amount of 9-colored heaven fire crystal. According to our agreement, everyone can take 20% of everything in the cave abode. The 9-colored heaven fire crystal is useless to me, so I will give my 9-colored heaven fire crystal to Brother Tang Ao." "Does Brother Tang Ao need the 9-colored heaven fire crystal? Then I'll also give my 9-colored heaven fire crystal to Big Brother Tang Ao." Tang Ao didn't expect that Murong Wan would also speak up after Chen Zian. "Thank you, Brother Chen and Junior Sister Wan." Tang Ao cupped his fists in thanks. To the two of them, the 9-colored skyfire crystal might be useless. However, to Tang Ao it was quite valuable. This 9-colored heavenly fire crystal was the key to producing Grade 1 immortal flames. "Humph, I also don't want a trash or like the 9-colored heaven fire crystal," Shui Haiqing snorted coldly. When he learned that Tang Ao actually wanted the 9-colored heaven fire crystal, the disdain in his eyes intensified. Jia Qian also looked at Tang Ao with contempt, then said, "I don't want this kind of trash either." Tang Ao didn't care about their attitudes at all. After retracting his gaze, Tang Ao immediately said, "That's great. In that case, I want all of the 9-colored heaven fire crystals inside. As for the pure gold sand, heavenly stalwart steel, and rush grass, Brother Chen and the rest of you will each get 25%. How about that?" "How can we do that? How about this?" After Tang Ao finished speaking, Chen Zian was about to refuse. The 9-colored skyfire crystal had not been among the treasures that had been distributed. In other words, no one here wanted the 9-colored skyfire crystal. However, before Chen Zian finished speaking, he was interrupted by Jia Qian. "Ha, Brother Tang Ao, that's a good idea. Later, when we reach the cave abode, you just need to stay by my side. With my battle formation technique, I will definitely be able to protect you." The reason why Jia Qian was unhappy just now was because Tang Ao was too indifferent when he learned that he knew the battle formation technique. Another important reason was that Tang Ao's appearance directly reduced their resources by 5%. Chapter 23:43. Brother Tang Ao's suggestion isn't bad. If there are other treasures in the cave, we can each take 20%. Shui Haiqing also agreed. Originally, with the 4 of them working together, they were only a hair's breadth away from breaking the cave's array restriction. After Tang Ao joined in, he didn't even need to do much to take 20% of the treasures. Shui Haiqing naturally wasn't happy. Seeing Jia Qian and Shui Haiqing say this, Chen Zian's face was a bit unhappy. The reason why he found 4 martial artists with lower cultivation levels than him to attack the array restriction was to have a reasonable distribution and be fair. Yet, before the array was broken, something like this happened. However, seeing that Tang Ao didn't have any objections, Chen Zi brought them back to the cave they discovered earlier. Tang Ao's sole remembrance was constantly observing the surroundings. Very quickly, Tang Ao discovered an unusual place. Not far from them, there was a weak array fluctuation. This array fluctuation was too subtle. If one wasn't an array master, it was practically impossible to discover this place. However, among Chen Zian's group, Murong Wan and Jia Qian could both be considered array masters. Thus, discovering this place was reasonable. Indeed, after arriving here, Murong Wan went forward. Subsequently, Tang Ao saw Murong Wan take out a scarlet-red array flag from her storage ring. This array flag was incomparably hot, as if there were flames lingering around it. Murong Wan formed 2 hand seals and threw the formation flag into the air. After the array flag flew forward, a kacha sound rang out. Immediately, a concealment array opened and Tang Ao saw the cave behind the array. This cave had experienced the vicissitudes of time. It was unknown how many years it had experienced. At the entrance of the cave were 2 malevolent demonic beast statues. These demonic beasts had clearly been extinct for too long, or perhaps they were demonic beasts from other places. Thus, none of Tang Ao's group knew what demonic beasts these 2 statues were. However, everyone clearly wasn't concerned about these 2 demonic beast statues. Instead, they were concerned about this ancient cave. It was actually a 6th-grade immortal array. Tang Ao only needed one glance to know that the array sealing this cave was a 6th-grade immortal array. However, due to the passage of time, this cave abode's grade 6 immortal array was already extremely dilapidated. Moreover, it was clear that this wasn't the first time this grade 6 immortal array had been attacked. There were many scars of spells around the array. However, up until now, this formation had never been broken by anyone. In a while, the 4 of us will attack according to Junior Sister Murong's array flags. This time, we will definitely be able to break this array formation restriction. According to the previous agreement, if there are other things in the cave, each person will get 20%. Because of what happened just now, Chen Zian said unquestionably. As he spoke, Chen Zian's peak level 3 astral reaching realm cultivation base was also revealed. It was obviously a warning to Jia Qian and Shui Haiqing. Feeling the surging true essence in Chen Zian's body, Jia Qian and Shui Haiqing's eyes were filled with surprise. Because both of them had killed astral reaching realm level 3 warriors before, they did not take Jia Qian seriously. But now they understood that this Chen Zian was just like them. He was not a normal astral reaching realm warrior. He definitely had the power to fight above his realm. With that thought in mind, the 2 of them retracted their hostility. Now that the treasure was right in front of them, there was no need to fall out with Chen Zian over such a small matter. Chapter 2344. Senior Brother Jia Qian. Shangguan Wan said to Jia Qian as she threw out another array flag. Jia Qian snorted coldly and struck the void with his palm. Immediately, Tang Ao saw that a formation had formed at the center of Jia Qian's array. As soon as the formation appeared, a black thunderbolt appeared out of thin air and struck the place where Murong Wan-er's array flag was pointing. Senior Brother Shui. Shangguan Wan-er's hands did not stop moving as she immediately threw out the 3rd array flag. After seeing this array flag, Tang Ao secretly shook his head. Shangguan Wan-er's previous 2 array flags had been placed very well. However, this 3rd array flag was somewhat unsatisfactory. If this array flag was placed by Tang Ao, then he would only need to attack 3 times to break this formation. There would be no need to attack a 4th time. Ha! At that moment, Shui Haiqing's body instantly expanded by 5 times. From his previous skinny self, he instantly turned into a strong man with a frightening aura. Xue Haiqing punched out and cracking sounds could be heard continuously. At that moment, the ceiling formation seemed to be unable to withstand the pressure and was about to break. Previously, when the four of them attacked, the situation had always been like this. This was also the reason why Chen Zian had left to find Tang Ao. Senior brother Tang Ao. At that moment, Morong Wan quickly threw out another array flag. However, after seeing the position of Morong Wan array flag, Tang Ao's face immediately darkened. If Tang Ao attacked this position with the strength of Xue Haiqing's and the others' attacks, then when Tang Ao's attack landed, a situation would occur. That was, the ceiling formation looked like it was about to break, but it would not break because of this. It looked as if one more attack would be enough to break it. Tang Ao did not know why Morong Wan was doing this, but Tang Ao understood that there was something wrong with the position of Morong Wan's third and fourth array flag. After seeing Morong Wan's array flag, Tang Ao also pointed out with his finger. Tang Ao did not use the finger of life and death, but the green lotus sword chi. A beam of golden sword chi suddenly exploded at Tang Ao's fingertip. After a beam of green light flew out, it instantly transformed into 9 beams of sword chi and bombarded the formation. Morong Wan's expression changed at the sight of this. Chen Zian and the others reacted the same way. When it came to attacking a formation, the more condensed it was, the better it was. However, Tang Ao had actually split the sword chi into so many parts. Even though the formation was on the verge of collapse, it was still possible that it could not be broken. Once it could not be broken, the formation would strengthen within 3 days. In other words, if they were unable to break the formation this time, they would have to wait for 3 days before they could continue. Xue Haiqing and Jia Qian were enraged by Tang Ao's attack. Morong Wan did not expect Tang Ao's attack to be like this. At this moment, the array formation was already extremely weak. As long as it hit the right position, the array formation would immediately shatter. However, how could the position of a grade 6 immortal array be so easy to find? However, it was unknown whether Tang Ao's attack was deliberate or a coincidence, but Tang Ao's attack landed on the position of the array formation. A cracking sound was heard. Immediately, this grade 6 immortal array, which had existed for tens of thousands of years, was broken by Tang Ao. Xue Haiqing and Jia Qian, who were originally angry with Tang Ao, were immediately overjoyed when they saw that the array formation was broken. Chapter 23:45. Quick, attack here! Tang Ao immediately shouted after seeing the formation break. At this time, there was no need for Tang Ao to shout. Xue Haiqing and Jia Qian's attacks immediately followed up. Although it was a long time ago, it was still a grade 6 immortal formation. The speed of its recovery was beyond the imagination of Tang Ao and the others. Fortunately, the previous attacks had consumed a lot of the magic array's energy. At this moment, the few of them were able to reinforce the magic array with their attack. Soon, the sound of cracking could be heard. Finally, with a boom, the grade 6 immortal formation was completely broken. Morong Wan's timid eyes flashed fiercely. If she wanted to use the soul sacrifice technique, she needed 5 people. But now, there were only 4 people, including Tang Ao. This immediately disrupted Morong Wan's plan. If not for the fact that her body had not been formed for long and she could only use less than 10% of her strength, Morong Wan would have killed Tang Ao now. If it weren't for Tang Ao, after Chen Zian found another person, she would have lured Chen Zian and the others into the cave and used the soul sacrificing technique to break the third array formation in the cave. Others might not know about this cave mansion, but she knew it very well. Because the owner of the cave mansion was Morong Wan's master, and also the owner of the Heaven Fire Ruins, Master Tianhua. Dao Master Tianhua had invited Pil Saint Green Rock to refine a supreme elixir in order to break through to the legendary Divine King realm. Unexpectedly, when the elixir was about to be refined, the 9-demon god Yuan Yin of the Earth Demon realm came. At the critical moment of refining the elixir, Pil Saint Green Rock was too busy and Tao Master Tian Hor was unable to resist Yuan Yin with all his strength because of the thunder tribulation. In the end, due to Pil Saint Green Rock's death, the elixir refining failed and Tao Master Tian Hua suffered a backlash from the thunder tribulation. After the 9-demon god Yuan Yin escaped with serious injuries, Tao Master Tian Hua seemed to have damaged his Tao foundation and was about to die. Therefore, he asked the disciples to build the inheritance ruins and wait for the successor. But at that time, Tao Master Tian Hua's eldest disciple, Qi Lianzi, was dissatisfied and thought that as the first disciple of Tao Master, he should inherit Tao Master's legacy. In the end, because of Qi Lianzi's greed, he triggered the most powerful restriction in the ruins. All the disciples who were unable to leave the Heavenly Fire Clan in time were killed in the ruins, and Murong Wan was one of them. Murong Wan was filled with hatred towards her master and senior brother. Tao Master Heavenly Fire had 800 disciples, all of whom were extremely talented. However, before Tao Master Sky Fire died, he said that everyone could cultivate his Tao techniques, but they were not suitable to inherit his legacy. He asked everyone to leave the Heavenly Fire ruins and rebuild the Heavenly Fire sect in the South Parting Realm. However, Qi Lianzi had triggered the restriction in the ruins, resulting in the deaths of countless Heavenly Fire sect disciples. Murong Wan had also perished in the Heavenly Fire ruins. Not long ago, she had reconstructed her physical body by chant. Everyone thought that this was the immortal ruins, but Murong Wan knew that this was no immortal ruins. This was the shattered Heaven Fire world. Just like the Bound of Yellow world in the past, the Heavenly Fire world did not leave the realm of true force due to the blessing of the 2 Tao Masters after it was broken. Furthermore, the destruction of the Heaven Fire world wasn't as severe as the Xian Wang world. Therefore, it became one of the immortal ruins surrounding the Langya world. Others might not know these secrets, but as the disciple of Tao Master Skyfire, Murong Wan was well aware of the events that happened back then. This cave was where Tao Master Skyfire's Tao body resided, and there were a total of 3 layers of restrictions. Chapter 2346. Even the formation flag to open the formation was still with Murong Wan. Originally, he was going to wait for Chen Zian to find 5 people and use his own blood essence to sacrifice the soul to open the formation on the 3rd floor. But now it was obviously impossible to find one more person. After the formation was broken, Xue Haiqing was the fastest. With a swoosh, he flashed into the cave. Seeing Xue Haiqing enter, Jia Qian was immediately angry. He took a step forward and the formation under his feet shone. Then, Jia Qian also entered the cave in an instant. Chen Zian was not in a hurry to go in. Brother Tang Ao, you go in first. Junior sister Murong and I will cover the entrance of the cave. Tang Ao did not refuse Chen Zian's suggestion. Even if Chen Zian did not say it, Tang Ao would do it. At this moment, Tang Ao could see that this was not an ordinary cave. After the formation was broken, Tang Ao felt a vast Taoist aura. This kind of Taoist aura was not unfamiliar to Tang Ao. Back then, Tang Ao had felt it from Great Dream Tao Master and Green Rock Pil Saint. Therefore, Tang Ao knew that this ancient cave was the place where a Tao Master died. This made Tang Ao even more confused. Let alone a small place like the Immortal Ruins, even among the 36 martial realms of the true martial realm, not every martial realm had a Tao Master. But at this moment there were 2 Tao Masters in the small Immortal Ruins. Was this place really just an ordinary Immortal Ruins? After entering this cave, Tang Ao found that there were a lot of 9-color Heaven Fire crystals piled up. There were even a lot of pure gold sand, heavenly stalwart steel, and rush grass scattered around. At this moment, Jia Qian and Xue Haiqing were searching around with red eyes. The two had completely forgotten their previous agreement. If there were not so many pure gold sand here, Tang Ao felt that Jia Qian and Shui Haiqing would even fight. At this moment, there was a cracking sound behind Tang Ao. Immediately, a first-grade concealment immortal formation appeared at the entrance of the cave. This formation seemed to be only a first-grade concealment immortal formation, but with Tang Ao's eyesight, he could naturally see that there was a 7th-grade defense immortal formation within the first-grade concealment immortal formation. It could be said that as long as there were no chaotic heaven realm experts, it would be impossible to open this cave. This 7th-grade immortal formation was obviously not Chen Xian's work, but Murong Wan Er's. If it were not for the fact that his Sky Extreme pupil had confirmed that Murong Waner was indeed only at astral reaching realm level 2, Tang Ao would have already decided to run away. After obtaining the 9-color heaven fire crystals, Tang Ao was all ready. There were countless opportunities in this kind of Tao Lord's inheritance, but there were also countless dangers. Although Murong Wan was only a 2nd-level astral-reaching realm martial artist, the fact that she could set up a 7th-grade immortal formation so easily scared Tang Ao quite a bit. Tang Ao estimated that even he might not be Murong Wan opponent. Of course, Tang Ao had a space-breaking talisman on him. If there was really a threat later, he could just use it to escape. As for that 7th-grade immortal formation, Tang Ao really did not have the ability to break it. After Murong Wan finished setting up the formation, she walked over with a relaxed expression. She did not even look at the pure gold sand and heavenly stalwart steel on the ground. Instead, she walked straight into the depths of the cave. Seeing Murong Wan appearance, Tang Ao was even more certain that there was something wrong with her. However, Tang Ao still did not know what Murong Wan was planning. With Murong Wan attainments in Array Dao, the previous formation at the entrance could not stop her at all. After Murong Wan walked forward, Chen Xian also came to Tang Ao's side. After seeing the pure gold sand and heavenly stalwart steel, Chen Xian was ecstatic. "Brother Tang Ao, there are too many treasures here. You should collect the 9-color heaven fire crystals you want first. In the end, I will definitely help you get 20% of the treasures." Chapter 2347. There were many reasons why a relic was not completed. Although Tang Ao did not know why the relic was not completed, Tang Ao knew that something must have happened. Tang Ao was completely unaware of what had happened back then. At this moment, Tang Ao was secretly observing Murong Wan. Then, Tang Ao saw that the moment Murong Wan entered the cave, a complex look of remembrance and hatred flashed in her eyes. It was not difficult for Tang Ao to understand the hatred. However, remembrance was something that Tang Ao could not understand. According to Tang Ao's judgment, this relic had existed for at least 100,000 years. Looking at Murong Wan's current aura, she was definitely no more than 1,000 years old. Therefore, Tang Ao did not know what entanglement Murong Wan had with this relic. But at this moment, Tang Ao suddenly saw that Jia Qian and Shui Haiqing, who had been busy searching for treasures in the cave, had stopped. The two of them were breathing rapidly as they looked at a fruit in the distance with a horrified expression. This fruit was standing next to a spring in the cave, and its entire body was a smooth, jade-white color. However, there were 3 strands of translucent black gas floating around this fruit. When he saw this fruit, even Tang Ao's eyes widened. Yin-Yang Dao fruit. Dao fruits could not be used in the Yin-Yang realm, and could only be used at the peak of the celestial universe realm. This was because the function of Dao fruits was to allow a martial artist at the peak of the celestial universe realm to break through to the Dao master realm. Before this, Tang Ao had only seen pictures of Dao fruits in some ancient book. This was the first time that Tang Ao had seen a real Dao fruit. Not only Tang Ao, but Chen Xian and the other 2 were also the same. Among the 5 of them, Except for Murong Wan no one had seen a real Dao fruit before. This yin-yang Dao fruit was also one of the reasons why Murong Wan came here this time. Senior Brother Chen, Senior Brother Shui, I want this yin-yang Dao fruit. Apart from this yin-yang Dao fruit, I don't want anything else in the cave. After the initial shock, Jia Qian took a step forward and appeared in front of the yin-yang Dao fruit, blocking it behind him. In Jia Qian's opinion, only Chen Zian and Shui Haiqing were tricky to deal with among the five of them. Murong Waner, who was at astral reaching realm level 1, and Tang Ao were completely ignored by him. As long as Chen Zian and Shui Haiqing agreed, then this Dao fruit would be his. At the moment, Jia Qian hated the fact that he did not have a space-breaking talisman with him. Otherwise, he would have just snatched the Dao fruit and used the space-breaking talisman to escape. There would have been no need to talk so much nonsense. To Jia Qian, the so-called equal distribution was a joke. If it could really be divided equally, then why would everyone fight over it? Everyone could use their own allocated resources to cultivate, allowing everyone to live forever together. However, this was simply impossible. There were many experts in the low-level continents and the true martial world. But there was an extreme shortage of cultivation resources. For countless years, the reason why there were so few Dao masters was because there were so few Dao fruits in the world. In this world, there were a total of 108 kinds of Dao fruit. 108 kinds of Dao fruits sounded like a lot, but in reality, it was not. For example, the immortal ruins that Tang Ao was in right now were basically filled with warriors who were transported from 10 low-level planes. Chapter 2348. These cultivators who were chosen to enter the Langya realm had at least 100,000 years of lifespan. In this way, the number of martial artists in the Langya realm had reached a terrifying number. However, only 3 Dao fruits had appeared in the Langya realm since its creation. It wasn't hard to see how precious Dao fruits were. Even though 3 Dao fruits had appeared in the Langya realm and were all digested by top powerhouses. Until now, there hadn't been any Dao master powerhouses in the Langya realm. This was because the Dao fruits that appeared in the Langya realm were all 72 earthly evil Dao fruit. Above the 72 earthly evil Dao fruits, there were 36 heavenly dipper Dao fruit. The yin-yang Dao fruit in front of the 5 people was the last of the 36 heavenly dipper Dao fruit. Even though it was the last Dao fruit, as long as it was a heavenly dipper Dao fruit, there was a 40% chance that a cultivator could become a Dao master powerhouse. A 40% chance didn't sound low, but in reality it was pitifully low. Dao fruits were a very special existence in the world. Normally, a cultivator could only take 1 Dao fruit. However, if one had heaven-defying luck, even if one didn't become a Dao master after taking the earthly evil Dao fruit, they could still take a heavenly dipper Dao fruit. However, Dao fruits were divine treasures that could only be encountered by luck. Obtaining 1 Dao fruit was already a supreme opportunity. It was extremely difficult to obtain 2 Dao fruit. The low chance of becoming a Dao master was because a cultivator could only take 2 Dao fruits at most. Therefore, if one couldn't break through to the Dao master realm twice, it would be the end of one's life. Just like how Tang Ao was forging a 3rd-grade immortal weapon with the art of spiritual refinement. On the surface, Tang Ao already had a 40% success rate. However, Tang Ao had failed nearly 40 times in a row when he was forging. This showed how difficult it was to break through to the Dao master realm with a 40% success rate. In addition, the number of Dao fruits also limited the number of Dao masters. In the entire true martial realm, although there weren't many peak celestial turbid realm cultivators, there were definitely many. However, the number of Dao master powerhouses could be counted on 2 hands. In the past, it was possible that some Dao master powerhouses had a pure heart and few desires. They usually kept a low profile and cultivated in seclusion in an uninhabited place. Therefore, the number might still increase, but it wouldn't be too high. If he could obtain this yin-yang Dao fruit, he would have a 40% chance of becoming a Dao master in the future. Facing this yin-yang Dao fruit, let alone others, even Tang Ao's eyes turned red. Dao fruits were too rare. In a martial world, there might not be a single Dao fruit in tens of thousands of years. The appearance of every Dao fruit would set off a bloody storm. However, among the 5 people present, Tang Ao had a 50% chance of obtaining this Dao fruit. If Tang Ao wanted to snatch it, Chen Zi and the other 2 wouldn't be able to stop Tang Ao. The only person that Tang Ao feared was Murong Wan. Her ability to set up a grade 7 immortal array was simply too terrifying. Compared to Murong Wan, Jia Qian's so-called battle formation was simply a joke. After Jia Qian asked, Chen Zi thought for a moment and said in a heavy tone, "You should leave this Dao fruit behind." At this moment, Chen Zi's eyes were red and his breathing was rapid. There were runes pulsing on his body. These runes were like chains that pulsed around Chen Zian. After seeing these chains, Tang Ao was shocked. Chapter 2349. Murong Wanner's body trembled when she heard this voice. She stared at Chen Zian in disbelief. Murong Wanner's voice trembled as she took a step back. She then looked at Chen Zian with uncertainty and said indifferently, "Senior brother North Chen. North Star, huh? It's been a long time since someone called me that." After the soul-binding shackles were removed, Chen Zian seemed to have become a completely different person. His body exuded a mysterious aura. This aura was dignified and sacred, but it also contained a trace of blood qi, which made people feel extremely astonished. Moreover, Tang Ao could see that after the soul-binding lock was unlocked, the aura on the North Star's body continued to rise. Soon, it reached the 6th level of astral reaching realm. Back then, 9 of us came here every day to listen to Master's teachings. I didn't expect that there would only be 3 of us left. Jia Qian and Shui Haiqing were dumbfounded. Tang Ao seemed to be in deep thought. It was just that Tang Ao's conjecture was too shocking, so now Tang Ao quietly watched the development of the situation. 3 people? Who else? As Murong Wanner asked, she looked at Tang Ao and the other 2. Seeing Murong Wanner's expression, North Star Emperor chuckled. The other person is naturally eldest senior brother. Back then, when the soul extermination restriction was activated, eldest senior brother escaped with heavy injuries, but he did not die. I forcefully entered the cycle of reincarnation, and only in this life did I barely recover my memories. You used the soul transfer secret technique and luckily survived. After saying that, North Star looked at Jia Qian and said, "Junior brother Jia Qian, this yin-yang Dao fruit is useless to you. Just leave it." At this moment, North Chen's astral reaching level 6 aura was making it hard for Jia Qian to breathe. However, it would not be easy for Jia Qian to give up on this yin-yang Dao fruit. So what if you are at the 6th level of the astral reaching realm? This yin-yang Dao fruit is mine. As Jia Qian spoke, a formation appeared in his palm. This formation was covered in golden light, and golden lightning swam around it. The surroundings emitted a distorted aura of nothingness. This golden lightning was obviously much more powerful than the black lightning that Jia Qian used before. After seeing this scene, Tang Ao secretly shook his head. Tang Ao could already tell that this Jia Qian was actually crazy enough to want to perish together with him. Murong Wanner's expression changed slightly when she saw this. She did not expect that the little ant that she was going to use for the soul sacrifice technique would actually do such a thing. Tang Ao also greatly desired this yin-yang Dao fruit. Although the yin-yang Dao fruit ranked last among the 36 celestial gang Dao fruits, with the yin-yang Dao fruit, Tang Ao had a 40% chance of becoming a Dao master in the future. As his understanding of the true martial realm deepened, Tang Ao became increasingly aware that astral-reaching realm cultivators were nothing but ants in the true martial realm. Even the cultivation of yin-yang realm wasn't enough in the true martial world. Only in the celestial heavenly realm would one have a certain say. The experts of the celestial body realm were like the feudal lords of the mortal world, who could cover the sky with one hand in their own territory. The experts of the Tao Master realm, on the other hand, were like the emperors of the mortal world, who could destroy mountains and rivers with a single stroke of anger. Chapter 2350. Tang Ao didn't understand why Murong Wanner would drag them along under such circumstances. At this thought, Tang Ao became vigilant. The entrance of this cave abode had been sealed by a grade 7 immortal array. Even Tang Ao didn't have the ability to get out. If he encountered danger later, Tang Ao could only use the space-breaking talisman to escape. Junior brother Jiaqian, I said that this Tao fruit is useless to you. Since you don't believe me, you can take it. North Star sighed inwardly. Jiaqian was stunned by North Star's words. Then, he became ecstatic. Thank you, Brother Chen. Jiaqian grabbed the yin-yang Tao fruit when he saw that Xue Haiqing didn't move. At the moment of contact, a vast aura of the great Tao surged into Jiaqian's body. At this moment, Jiaqian's body started to tremble. Then, Tang Ao was shocked to see that Jiaqian's body started to dissipate under this vast qi aura. This Tao fruit couldn't be touched directly. Ah! At this moment, Jiaqian's scream was heard. After that scream, a muffled bang sound was heard. Immediately after that, Jiaqian disappeared without a trace in front of these people. Under the erosion of the great Tao aura, Jiaqian was actually dismembered. Seeing this scene, Tang Ao was secretly shocked. Regarding the Tao fruit, Tang Ao was sure that Alchemy Sage Green Rock had a detailed description. Unfortunately, Tang Ao hadn't finished reading the jade slip of Alchemy Sage Green Rock's inheritance. If Jiaqian hadn't been devoured, perhaps Tang Ao would have found a chance to snatch the yin-yang Tao fruit. Tang Ao secretly decided that after this matter was over, he must carefully read through the jade slips left behind by Alchemy Sage Green Rock. The moment Jiaqian was dismembered, Xue Haiqing's figure instantly appeared beside the yin-yang Tao fruit. Then, Tang Ao saw Xue Haiqing directly reach for the yin-yang Tao fruit. Perhaps it was because North Star and Murong Wanner saw Xue Haiqing directly grab the yin-yang Tao fruit with his hands, but they didn't have much of a reaction. No! Tang Ao was stunned for a moment before he saw the smile on Xue Haiqing's face. Sure enough, the moment Xue Haiqing's hand touched the yin-yang Tao fruit, a silver talisman instantly appeared. The talisman emanated a gentle aura which wrapped around the yin-yang Tao fruit. Xue Haiqing then patted his body with his left hand and a spacebreaker talisman appeared. Tao Transformation Talisman. Who are you? The North Star Emperor stepped forward and asked. At the same time, Murong Wanner also rushed out, her face ashen. However, when the two of them arrived at Xue Haiqing's previous position, Xue Haiqing had already been teleported away. However, a scene that shocked Tang Ao immediately appeared. Murong Wanner waved her hand and a huge spatial array immediately appeared. Without any hesitation, Murong Wanner stepped into the formation and gave chase. The North Star continent followed closely behind and chased after them. The moment they entered the array formation, the North Star Emperor turned around and glanced at Tang Ao. The instant the North Star continent entered the formation immediately shattered. Tang Ao even saw the spatial wind blades that seemed like they were going to strangle the North Star continent. However, a blood-colored radiance appeared on the North Star continent's body, and the spatial blade lights that were crushing towards the North Star continent actually shattered inch by inch. So strong! After Tang Ao exclaimed, the North Star continent's figure instantly disappeared. Chapter 2351. There was another way, which was to use the space-cleaving talisman to leave this place. However, Tang Ao felt that he shouldn't use such a method unless he had no other choice. After the North Star Emperors left, the pure gold sand and many other materials ended up benefiting Tang Ao. This time, Tang Ao didn't stand on ceremony. No matter what he saw, he swept it all into a storage ring. Besides the pure gold sand, heavenly stalwart steel and rush grass, as Tang Ao ventured deeper, Tang Ao discovered many other spiritual materials. Without exception, all of these spiritual materials were kept into Tang Ao's storage ring. As for the 9-colored sky fire crystals, they were all kept by Tang Ao. After sweeping the entire passageway clean, Tang Ao arrived at the end of the passageway. There was also an array here. After seeing this array, Tang Ao despaired. This was because this was a grade 9 immortal array. There was a grade 9 immortal array at the front and a grade 7 immortal array at the back. Tang Ao really felt that he was trapped here. At this moment, Tang Ao only felt that this North Star Emperor wasn't kind. If he hadn't tricked him into finding the 9-colored sky fire crystals, Tang Ao definitely wouldn't be trapped here. At the same time, Tang Ao also knew that he had been too careless. When he sensed that Murong Wan was setting up a grade 7 immortal array, he should have retreated immediately. Ever since he started cultivating, Tang Ao had always been using arrays to trap others. However, Tang Ao didn't expect that he would actually be trapped by an array today. After lamenting for a moment, Tang Ao took out the voice transmission jade slip. When he sensed that the voice transmission jade slip could be used normally, Tang Ao heaved a sigh of relief. The moment Tang Ao took out the voice transmission jade slip, Jin Chen's voice came over anxiously. "Big brother, where did you go? I entered a mystic realm, and I might not be coming out anytime soon. See if you can obtain the 5-colored sky fire. If you can't, return to the 9-moon elixir house and wait for me." Tang Ao thought for a moment and said to Jin Chen. After saying that, Tang Ao found that this place was not completely useless. The grade 7 immortal array at the entrance was useless even if one wasn't a turbid heaven stage powerhouse. As for grade 7 immortal array masters, there didn't seem to be any powerful immortal array masters in the entire Langya realm. Murong Wanner's appearance was a complete accident. Therefore, this place could be said to be very safe. Although Tang Ao didn't have much hope, he still carefully observed the grade 9 immortal array. After a while, Tang Ao realized that he was right to not have any hope. This was because he couldn't understand this formation at all, much less break it. After that, Tang Ao activated his sky polar eyes and continued to look at the array formation. The incomparably complex runes made Tang Ao dizzy, but through this array formation, Tang Ao also saw the scene behind the array formation. Behind the array formation was a huge hall with many shelves. These shelves contained all sorts of cultivation technique manuals, elixirs, talismans, immortal spiritual herbs, and all sorts of treasures. When he saw this, Tang Ao felt very uncomfortable. The treasures were only a wall away from him, but he couldn't get them no matter what. After sighing, Tang Ao went to the grade 7 immortal array at the entrance. After examining it for a while, Tang Ao walked to an empty space and sat down cross-legged. Compared to a grade 9 immortal array, Tang Ao understood a little more about a grade 7 immortal array. Chapter 23:52. Fortunately, the immortal spirit chi here was abundant, so he could cultivate here. After realizing that he couldn't leave this place for the time being, Tang Ao calmed down and took out the jade slips left behind by Pill Sage Green Rock. He started reading them carefully. A day later, Tang Ao finally finished reading all the jade slip. At the same time, he had a clearer understanding of the true martial domain. At this time, Tang Ao also received a message from Jinchen. Big Brother, the great elder of the ruins of immortality, Li Yujun, took away the Black Crow Devil Flame. Because the Black Crow Devil Flame gave birth to a fire spirit, the elders of the ruins of immortality are gathering around the 5 lightning heavenly fire. They don't allow anyone to get close. In that case, you should return to the 9 Moons Elixir House and wait for me to come back. Originally, Lu Hua had left the ruins of immortality, which was the perfect time for Tang Ao to show off his skills. However, Tang Ao was trapped here. After lamenting, Tang Ao took out the array flags and started to deduce Murong 1 Er's array. Tang Ao was only a grade 4 immortal array master now, so it was almost impossible for him to deduce a grade 7 array. Fortunately, Tang Ao didn't want to master this grade 7 array. He just wanted to find the weak points of the array so that Tang Ao could tear a crack and leave this place. However, Tang Ao didn't put all his hopes on the array, because Tang Ao discovered that there were many passageways that weren't completely built. Therefore, Tang Ao spent half a day deducing the array and the other half looking for a way out of these passageways. Tang Ao punched out and a rock in front of Tang Ao shattered. This rock was only as thick as a palm, and it was obviously eroded by the array. That was why it was so fragile. As the mountain rock shattered, another passageway appeared before Tang Ao. Without any hesitation, Tang Ao walked in. In this passageway, Tang Ao naturally found many good treasures. At the same time, he also discovered more passageways. After Tang Ao had been here for 10 days, Tang Ao once again received Jin Chen's Jade Slip Sound transmission. Big brother, I'm going back now. Yenli and junior sister Long Lanlan also want to follow me. What should I do? Jin Chen seemed a little anxious. No matter, just bring them to the 9 Moon Elixir Pavilion. Although the Dragon Tribe's Khanate Chaos Cauldron was in the 9 Moons Elixir Dispensary, it had been sealed by Pill Sage Green Rock. Yenli and Long Lanlan would not be able to recognize the Khanate Chaos Cauldron. Strictly speaking, the Primordial Chaos Cauldron didn't belong to the Dragon Clan. In the beginning, this Khanate Chaos Cauldron was also seized from other places by the Dragon Clan's expert. After Jin Chen left, Tang Ao's life immediately became dull. In a day, he spent half his time deducing the array and the other half exploring the cave. Almost all the passageways in the cave were discovered by Tang Ao. At the same time, Tang Ao discovered that these complicated passageways formed a large array. Now that Tang Ao saw the array, he really felt a headache coming on. Therefore, Tang Ao didn't continue exploring these passageways. Instead, after deducing the array for a period of time, he started refining weapons and elixirs. Sometimes, when there was no progress, Tang Ao would just stop and cultivate. Just like that, 3 months passed in a row. Chapter 23:53. His quintessential essence was shockingly condensed. When Tang Ao used his magic skills with all his might, there was even a sense of distortion in the void. Tang Ao originally thought that either North Star or Murong 1 would return after failing to obtain the Dao fruit. However, 3 months had passed, and North Star and Murong 1 clearly had no intention of returning. At the entrance of the cave, Tang Ao threw out several array flags. Over the past 3 months, Tang Ao had deduced this grade 7 immortal array countless times. Now, Tang Ao wanted to try and see if his deductions were effective. Under Tang Ao's deductions, there were 3 places in this array formation that he didn't know whether it was intentional or not. Tang Ao threw out the 3 array flags in his hands and went straight towards the 3 light spots. Then, Tang Ao saw a cracking sound, and the original confinement array instantly turned into a confinement-killing array. Tang Ao only felt that his eyeballs were about to fall out. The original confinement array was already tricky enough, but now, it had directly turned into a confinement-killing array. Tang Ao took a deep breath and hurriedly retreated. During this period of time, Tang Ao had naturally tried to open a passage in the surroundings to avoid the array formation and leave. However, Tang Ao discovered that he had no way of shaking the surrounding ordinary mountain rocks. These mountain rocks could be said to have been tempered thousands of times under the calcination of the flames, and they were incomparably hard. When Tang Ao used the demon-slaying axe to chop at them, only white marks appeared on the mountain rocks, and there was no damage. Tang Ao lay powerlessly on a stone platform in the passage. Array formations couldn't be improved overnight, and he didn't know how long it would take to cultivate to the chaotic sky realm. Tang Ao was in despair. Perhaps because he was too tired, when Tang Ao lay on this rock, he actually fell asleep. In his sleep, Tang Ao saw a scene. It was a majestic sect that was built on a sea of fire. The entire sect was like a huge crafting furnace that floated in the sky. Tang Ao saw Pil Sage Green Rock in this image. At this moment, Pil Sage Green Rock was chatting happily with another old man. The old man in front of Pil Sage Green Rock had white hair and a youthful complexion. There were 3 disciples standing behind the old man. Although there were some changes, Tang Ao could still recognize 2 of them. One of them was Murong Wan and the other was North Star Emperor. As for the last red-clothed youth with thin lips and a vicious look in his eyes, Tang Ao had never seen him before. Not long after, another skinny young man walked past Ollie. After seeing this youth, Tang Ao felt that Chen Xian's invitation to search for the 9-colored Skyfire crystal was a joke. This was because this skinny youth was clearly Xue Haiqing. Although the changes were huge, Tang Ao still recognized Xue Haiqing. It was unknown what Pil Sage Green Rock and the old man talked about. Soon, the old man seemed very happy, and Pil Sage Green Rock left to concoct pills elsewhere. When Tang Ao saw the pills that Pil Sage Green Rock concocted, his heart was filled with shock. This was because the immortal herbs that Pil Sage Green Rock used were all top-notch Tier 9 immortal herbs. Chapter 2354. I fell asleep? Tang Ao was astonished. Tang Ao couldn't be blamed for being astonished. After a martial artist started cultivating, their body would be full of qi and blood and yuan qi. As long as they meditated, they would be able to recover. There was no need to sleep at all. Not to mention astral-reaching martial artists, even Origin Martial Realm martial artists wouldn't need to sleep. Soon, Tang Ao's gaze landed on the boulder below him. There's something wrong with this boulder. Tang Ao jumped off the boulder and started to examine it carefully. This boulder was even taller than Tang Ao. It looked like a huge stone brick. Tang Ao scanned it with his sole remembrance and discovered that this boulder had many mysterious ripples. However, Tang Ao still couldn't recognize what this boulder was. Although he couldn't recognize it, Tang Ao still discovered some uses of this boulder. On this boulder, he could see some strange scenes. Tang Ao thought about it carefully and realized that the magma sea under the Heaven Fire Gate was indeed the Heaven Fire Ruins. At the same time, Tang Ao saw Pil Saint Green Rock in the Heaven Fire Gate, who was concocting a kind of heaven-defying pill. However, Tang Ao didn't see what happened next. Tang Ao thought for a moment and immediately jumped onto this boulder, wanting to see if he could continue to sleep. However, Tang Ao discovered that his body was full of qi and blood, and his whole body was full of Zhen Yuan. It was impossible for him to sleep in this state. Sure enough, after trying for a long time, Tang Ao found that he really couldn't fall asleep. Sighing lightly, Tang Ao continued to deduce the 7th grade immortal array at the entrance of the cave. However, Tang Ao immediately discovered that as he sat on this boulder, his perception instantly became incomparably clear. The few points that couldn't be the same before were instantly understood by Tang Ao. Tang Ao knew that this was definitely not because he had suddenly understood, but because of the mysteries of this boulder. Thinking of this, Tang Ao decided to refine this strange boulder. For several days in a row, Tang Ao had been deducing on this boulder. After Tang Ao made the last hand seal, a hexagonal array gate suddenly flashed in front of Tang Ao. Although it was just a flash, Tang Ao was still ecstatic. Without any hesitation, Tang Ao walked towards the grade 7 immortal array. This time, Tang Ao did not take out the array flags. Instead, he directly used the void array pattern. One by one, Tang Ao outlined the runes, and then a hexagonal door gradually took shape. After this array door was completely formed, it directly opened a hexagonal passage in the grade 7 trap and kill array. Tang Ao even saw the scene outside. Unfortunately, he only took a glance before the scene outside was instantly cut off. However, Tang Ao was indeed ecstatic. After half a year, he had finally made some progress, and he could continue to deduce like this. It wouldn't be long before Tang Ao could use his own array door to open an entrance in the trap and kill array. This way, after Tang Ao left, the grade 7 trap and kill array would not be destroyed. Moreover, Tang Ao could also enter at any time. At this thought, Tang Ao was completely immersed in the deduction of the array door. Although Tang Ao had deduced this hexagonal array door based on the changes in the trap and kill array, Tang Ao's array formation standard was still in the ranks of grade 4 immortal arrays. Chapter 2355. However, Tang Ao still modified it until he had complete control of the array door. Only then did Tang Ao stop. Now, Tang Ao could leave at any time. However, this time, Tang Ao was not in a hurry to leave. Tang Ao began to refine the bluish-gray boulder. There were some vague runes on the boulder. After the immortal spiritual power was injected, stars seemed to rise from it. It did not look ordinary. After Tang Ao began to refine the boulder, Tang Ao found that it was very easy to refine and there was only a layer of restriction on it. In just the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Tang Ao managed to refine the stone. In the depths of the cave, Tao Master Sky Fire's eyeballs were about to fall out. What was this? A person favored by the heavens? Was he the reincarnation of a divine king? Back then, it took him 1,000 years to refine the Tao-seeking stone, but in Tang Ao's hands, it was refined in less than an incense's time. He could even enter the void dream realm and explore the past and the future without refining the Tao-seeking stone. After a long time, Tao Master Sky Fire shook his head. Although Tang Ao was good, he was still not a suitable successor for his Sky Fire path. Otherwise, Tang Ao would have sensed the other treasure of Sky Fire path in the cave. Many people, including his disciples, thought that he had died. In fact, Tao Master Sky Fire sealed himself and fell into a deep sleep out of regret. This time, if he had not sensed the aura of Murong Wan and North Chin, Tao Master Sky Fire would not have woken up. Tao Master Sky Fire had 9 true disciples and 800 in-name disciples. When he cultivated to the peak of the Tao Master realm, he obtained a divine Tao fruit by chance. A divine Tao fruit was needed for a celestial turbid realm expert to break through to the Tao Master realm, and a divine Tao fruit was needed for a Tao Master to break through to the divine King realm. After taking the divine Tao fruit, he failed to break through and suffered the backlash of the divine Tao. But at this time, his best friend, Pill Saint Green Rock, rushed over and started refining the divine Tao pill. Never did he expect that when he was about to succeed, his eldest disciple, Qi Lianzi, attracted the attention of the 9 demon gods of the Earth demon world, Yuan Yin. If Heavenly Fire Tao Master was at his peak, he would not be afraid of Yuan Yin. However, Heavenly Fire Tao Master was severely injured at that time and was no match for Yuan Yin. Thus, Tao Master Sky Fire was controlled by Yuan Yin with a secret technique. He destroyed the Sky Fire sect and fought with Pill Saint Green Rock. Pill Saint Green Rock could not bear to hurt him, but his first disciple, Qi Lianzi, ambushed him. In the end, under the combined attacks of Qi Lianzi and Yuan Yin, Pill Saint Green Rock fell. After consuming the divine Tao pill, He did not break through to the godly king realm, but he also temporarily gained the might of a godly king. After severely injuring Qi Lianzi and Yuan Yin, Tao Master Heavenly Fire sealed himself and fell into a deep slumber. Every time he thought about it, Tao Master Heavenly Fire was filled with endless regret. After so many years, Tao Master Sky Fire naturally understood that there was something wrong with that divine Tao fruit. The god Tao fruit was purposely given to him by his first disciple, Qi Lianzi. After a moment of sadness, Tao Master Heavenly Fire fell into a deep sleep again. Other than the boundless regret in his heart, it was also because his injuries were extremely severe. After so many years, he still needed to recover Yuan Qi through deep sleep. Naturally, Tang Ao did not know that his action of refining the Tao-seeking stone had been seen by Tao Master Heavenly Fire. At this moment, after refining the Tao-seeking stone, Tang Ao felt that the stone could fly. Immediately, Tang Ao sat on the Tao-seeking stone and made a hand seal. Then, Tang Ao actually flew up. Tang Ao's heart skipped a beat and the Tao-seeking stone suddenly accelerated, directly hitting a mountain rock. Anxious, Tang Ao wanted to stop the Tao-seeking stone, but at this moment, the Tao-seeking stone roared towards the mountain rock like a meteor. Tang Ao's body moved and he hurriedly jumped down from the Tao-seeking stone. With a boom, the Tao-seeking stone hit the mountain rock. At this moment, the entire Heavenly Fire ruins shook visibly. As time passed, although there were not as many martial artists coming to the Heavenly Fire ruins now, because of the existence of the 5 Thunder Heavenly Fire, a large number of martial artists came every day. Obviously, they were trying to tame the 5 Thunder Heavenly Fire or find other opportunities in the Heavenly Fire ruins. What just happened? Why was there such a big commotion? Many people looked in the direction of Tang Ao, their eyes full of doubt. Could it be that a great treasure has appeared? Impossible. If there really was a treasure, it would have been taken away by the elders in the past 6 months. Chapter 2356. After observing for a while, Tang Ao waved his hand, and the stone shrunk rapidly. In the end, it turned into a square stone in Tang Ao's hand. Tang Ao played with the stone for a while before putting it away. Then, Tang Ao looked around the cave again. After confirming that there was nothing else, Tang Ao walked toward the entrance of the cave. He had been here for half a year, and it was time to leave. During this time, Tang Ao's biggest gain was increasing his cultivation to the 3rd level of astral reaching realm. At the same time, his formation mastery was infinitely close to a 5th rank formation master. Originally, Tang Ao thought that the most valuable thing in this cavern was the yin-yang Dao fruit that Shui Haiqing had snatched away. However, after obtaining the Dao-seeking stone, Tang Ao felt that this Dao-seeking stone might be the most valuable treasure. The yin-yang Dao fruit would only be useful after Tang Ao reached the peak of the chaotic sky realm. However, on the path of cultivation, no one could be sure what level they could reach. There were just too many geniuses who had fallen in the middle of cultivation. Out of 100 body refining realm martial artists, only one could reach the origin martial realm. But out of 1,000 origin martial realm martial artists, only one could reach the Sea of Souls realm. As for the life and death realm, which was above the Sea of Souls realm, it was even rarer. In the history of the 7 Kills Martial School, the number of martial artists who had reached the astral reaching realm could be counted on one hand. Although this was only in the low-rank realm, the competition in the high-rank realm was even crueler. There were even more talented martial artists. To reach the yin-yang realm or even the chaotic sky realm, one would need to put in an unimaginable amount of effort. This was also why the South Ruined City had only one yin-yang realm martial artist, Nan Huili, despite having existed for tens of thousands of years. In comparison, the Dao-seeking stone was too useful. The Dao-seeking stone could increase a martial artist's comprehension. Cultivating on the Dao-seeking stone, one would be able to feel everything very clearly and stay in a light and agile state. It was also with the help of the Tao-seeking stone that Tang Ao was able to create the hexagonal formation door in such a short time. Walking to the entrance of the cave, Tang Ao formed a series of hand seals and drew out a series of void runes. Now, Tang Ao was even more amazed by Murong Wanner's attainments in the array Dao. Back then, Tang Ao had personally witnessed Murong Wanner forming this grade 7 immortal array with a wave of her hand. But now, it was already so difficult for Tang Ao to open up a hole in this grade 7 immortal array. As Tang Ao outlined the void formation patterns, a wave of vague fluctuations emerged from the formation. A moment later, a hexagonal array door was opened. Tang Ao stepped out and arrived outside the cave. Looking at the hexagonal array door on the trap and kill array, Tang Ao felt quite proud. With a thought, Tang Ao's void runes immediately dispersed. This time, Tang Ao had already concealed this set of void runes inside the trap and kill array. The next time Tang Ao came, he could directly activate this set of formation runes and open up a formation door on the trap and kill array. After walking out of the cave, Tang Ao removed the grade 1 concealment immortal array outside and replaced it with a grade 4 concealment immortal array. A grade 4 concealment immortal array was already a very high-level formation in the ruins of immortality. This was because the strongest immortal array master in the ruins of immortality, Liu Jun, was only a grade 3 immortal array master. Chapter 2357. Tang Ao didn't stop and walked out of the Heavenly Fire ruins directly. Tang Ao had gained a lot from the Skyfire ruins, but he had also discovered that he had missed out on two of the top treasures that had appeared in the Skyfire ruins. The Black Crow Demonic Flames Fire Spirit and the Yin Yang Dao Fruit were both world-shaking treasures. However, Tang Ao didn't get either of them. This made Tang Ao understand that opportunities were equal, and everyone had the right to fight for them. Just like back in the cavern, Tang Ao also had the space-piercing talisman, but Tang Ao didn't get the Yin Yang Dao Fruit in the end. However, Tang Ao felt that his decision back then was correct. Although he was trapped in the Heavenly Fire Cavern for half a year, his formations had improved greatly, and he had also obtained the Tao-seeking stone. When Tang Ao returned to the September Pill House, he found that only Jin Chen and Su Shiro were there. As for Yen Li and Long Lanlan, Tang Ao didn't see them. After asking around, Tang Ao found out that Long Lanlan and Yen Li had already left 3 months ago. "Big brother, there's something I need to tell you. The great competition of the ruins of immortality that is held once every 1,000 years will be held in half a year's time. If Big Brother wants to participate in the great competition of the ruins of immortality, you need to obtain one of the top 10 geniuses of South Ruin City." Jin Chen naturally wouldn't have thought of this. "Little brother Chen, are you in the top 10 geniuses?" Tang Ao suddenly asked after hearing Jin Chen's words. "Big brother, I'm 10th. Jin Chen scratched his head embarrassedly. Clearly, he thought that 10th was the last place, and it was a bit embarrassing. In fact, with Jin Chen's astral reaching realm 9th level cultivation, even the number 1 genius of the South Ruin City, Jun Wuhan, might not be his opponent. It was just that Jin Chen's father, Jin Wanchuan, had always told him to hide his strength, which was why Jin Chen had always been 10th. Who else is in the top 10? With Jin Chen participating in the great competition of the Immortal Ruins, it would be very easy to get a good ranking. As long as Jin Chen got a good ranking, Tang Ao and Su Shiro could use Jin Chen's quota to leave the Immortal Ruins and enter the Zhenwu Jie. However, Tang Ao knew that this kind of quota to enter the Zhenwu Jie was bound to be very valuable. With Tang Ao's strength, it would be easy for him to participate in such a competition and get a good ranking. With so many quotas, if he couldn't use them all, he could just sell them. Then, he would buy some useful things. After tens of thousands of years of accumulation, the ruins of immortality also had some good things. Number 1 in our South Ruin City is City Lord Nan Huili's disciple, Jun Wuhan. Number 2 is Wang Lang, and number 3 is Yang Fan. Tang Ao didn't know who the top 10 geniuses were, but Jin Chen was more familiar with them. Big brother, if you want to challenge someone, I suggest you challenge Jiang Tao. Oh, Jiang Tao, who is ranked 9th, is the weakest? Tang Ao asked in confusion. No, this Jiang Tao's strength is not bad. Among the top 10 martial artists, his strength is about second to last. However, he is very cruel. Once he wins a battle, he will definitely dig out the opponent's heart. Many times, even if the opponent didn't provoke him, they would still be entangled by him. Once, a martial arts family somehow provoked him, and the hearts of more than 300 people in that martial arts family were all dug out by him. Chapter 23:58. Brother Tang Ao, actually, you don't have to challenge Jiang Tao. Compared to him, Song Chu is a bit weaker. He is only at the 4th level of the astral reaching realm. If Brother Tang Ao only wants the right to participate in the great competition of Immortal Ruin, you can challenge Song Chu. Su Shiro had also asked around about the top 10 warriors. Therefore, she knew that compared to Jiang Tao, this Song Chu was obviously weaker. No need. This kind of scourge, it's better to get rid of him. Tang Ao was very confident in his cultivation. Although Tang Ao was only at the 3rd level of the astral reaching realm, even if he were to face a 6th level astral reaching realm warrior, Tang Ao would not be afraid at all. Brother, if you want to challenge Jiang Tao, just go to the battling platform in the South Ruin City and write the challenge letter. In Jin Chen's opinion, this Jiang Tao could be killed with one punch. Although Tang Ao's cultivation was not as high as his, Tang Ao was his big brother. Taking on Jiang Tao would not be a problem at all. Nonsense. Brother Tang Ao is only at the 3rd level of the astral reaching realm, but Jiang Tao is a 5th level astral reaching realm warrior. You are at the peak of the 9th level of the astral reaching realm, so he is naturally not your opponent. But, Brother Tang Ao will not have it easy against Jiang Tao. Plus, seeing that Jin Chen was still asking Tang Ao to take on Jiang Tao, Su Shiro said a bit angrily. However, before Su Shiro could finish, Tang Ao patted her head and said, "Don't worry, trust me." Then, Tang Ao said to Jin Chen, "Let's go, Brother Chen. Let's go to the battling platform and write the challenge letter." Tang Ao said as he walked out first. Jin Chen smiled at Su Shiro, then chased after Tang Ao. "Wait, I will go as well." Su Shiro stomped her feet and chased after them. Su Shiro did not understand. Jin Chen was not a rational person, so he acted on impulse. However, why was Tang Ao the same as Jin Chen? He chose to challenge Jiang Tao instead of Song Chu. The South Ruin City's dueling arena wasn't far from the 9 Moon Pill Pavilion's location, so Tang Ao's group of 3 quickly arrived at the dueling arena registration area. At this moment, there were 2 martial artists fighting on the dueling platform. Tang Ao had seen one of these 2 martial artists before. It was Wang Lang, whom he had met in the Heavenly Fire Ruins. Wang Lang was the current number 2 genius martial practitioner of South Ruin City, and the person facing him was a cold youth wielding a golden spear. This young man had sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. His eyes were filled with hostility, and his entire body was filled with killing intent. He stood on the dueling platform and casually attacked, but Wang Lang was suppressed by him and forced to retreat step by step. "Chi. Is this the result of your 2 years of cultivation?" Jun Wuhan sneered. Then, a bolt of lightning flashed through his eyes, and he abruptly swept the spear in his hand. A mist of blood exploded from Wang Lang's body, and half of his ribs were broken in an instant. This was because Jun Woohan did not follow up with another attack. Otherwise, Wang Lang would have died in vain. After all, killing was allowed on the dueling platform. Bang! Wang Lang immediately took out a pill and swallowed it after he landed on the ground. Then, he said to Jun Woohan, "Thank you for showing mercy, senior brother Woohan. I didn't show mercy. The reason I did this was to teach you a lesson and warn others who want to challenge me. After all, my time is limited, and I can't accept so many challenges." After saying this, Jun Woohan tossed a bottle of pills into Wang Lang's hand and walked to the side. Everyone wore complicated expressions when they saw Jun Woohan's behavior. Chapter 2359. Interesting. Looking at Jun Woohan's back, Tang Ao lightly spat out 2 words. When Tang Ao saw Jun Woohan, it was as if he was looking at himself from his past life, invincible and lonely. "Song Chu, do you dare to battle me?" Right then, a teenager in blue robes flew onto the battling platform and yelled, "It is Brother Li Yunji. I heard that he had already reached Astral Reaching Realm Level 5, which is 1 level higher than Brother Song Chu." "Chi. How do you know that Brother Song Chu has not made any progress in the past half a year? Just wait and see." Moments after Li Yunji got onto the platform, a scholarly-looking teenager also walked onto the battling platform. Without even asking, Tang Ao knew that it should be Song Chu. However, it was different from what Tang Ao had expected. Right now, this Song Chu was not at Astral Reaching Realm Level 4 either, but Level 5. The second Song Chu got onto the platform. A hint of surprise appeared in Li Yunji's eyes as well. "I did not expect you to have reached Astral Reaching Realm Level 5 as well. Great. This way, if you lose, it will not be me bullying you." After the initial surprise, Li Yunji said immediately, "Since you know that I am at Astral Reaching Realm Level 5, you still dare to challenge me?" Song Chu looked scholarly, but his movements were not at all elegant. After getting onto the platform, he started his attack immediately. Tang Ao could tell that the two were about the same level of power. However, Song Chu had obviously taken longer to reach Astral Reaching Realm Level 5. Therefore, when facing Li Yunji, Song Chu had been using the advantage of his condensed Jin Yuan to suppress Li Yunji. This battle was nothing special in Tang Ao's eyes, but the people around him were cheering. Before, the battle between Jun Woohan and Wang Lang was completely one-sided. Jun Woohan casually threw out 3 spear attacks, and Wang Lang had been defeated. However, right now, Li Yunji and Song Chu had barely reached the level of being evenly matched. This kind of battle was what everyone wanted to see the most. Even below the platform, bets had already been opened. Between Li Yunji and Song Chu, who would win? "Little brother Chen, who do you think will win?" Tang Ao asked Jin Chen with great interest. "Song Chu's odds are 4 times, while Li Yunji's odds are 6 times. Song Chu should win," Jin Chen scratched his head and said while looking at the odds. Tang Ao shook his head. "You see, Li Yunji has been suppressed by Song Chu since the beginning of the battle, but Li Yunji's expression hasn't changed at all. Furthermore, after being suppressed for so long, it was clear that he still had a backup plan. Therefore, Li Yunji has at least a 90% chance of winning this match," Tang Ao said as he took out a handful of immortal crystals and directly bought 50 sets of Li Yunji's victory. The martial artist in charge of the betting stared at Tang Ao in astonishment. Even if a normal martial artist wanted to try their luck, they would only dare to bet 1 or 2 points on Li Yunji's victory. However, no one knew if Tang Ao was stupid or had too much money, but he actually bet 50 points on Li Yunji's victory. How was this a bet? He was clearly here to give away his money. However, the banker liked people like Tang Ao the most, because no matter who won or lost, the banker would take half of the profit. For example, Tang Ao had spent 100 immortal crystals to buy 50 sets of immortal crystals. If Li Yunji won, then Tang Ao would receive 600 low-grade immortal crystals. Of course, these 600 low-grade immortal crystals had to be subtracted from the 5% processing fee. In the end, Tang Ao would receive 570 immortal crystals. And if Li Yunji lost, then Tang Ao would not even have a single immortal crystal. Chapter 2360. After the three-headed flood dragon life soul appeared, it immediately swept across the arena. Under the three-headed flood dragon life soul, Song Chu was forced to retreat. Song Chu's eyes were filled with unwillingness and disbelief. Song Chu really couldn't understand how he could awaken such a powerful life soul. Li Yunji had only broken through to astral reaching realm level 5 a month ago. No matter how unwilling he was, Song Chu was still swept off the dueling platform by Li Yunji's powerful three-headed flood dragon. Just now, Li Yunji had endured the humiliation and only defended without attacking because he wanted to exhaust Song Chu's immortal spiritual energy. Once Song Chu's celestial spiritual energy was depleted to a certain extent, he would strike once and for all. Despicable! Song Chu spat out a mouthful of blood as he looked at Li Yunji on the dueling platform, gnashing his teeth. The dueling platform only determines who wins and who loses. How is this despicable? Li Yunji cast a cold glance at Song Chu, a look of wild joy in his eyes. The grand competition of the Ruins of Immortality would be held in half a year. At the last moment, he had finally obtained the admission ticket to the grand competition of the Ruins of Immortality. Even if there were bound to be other martial practitioners who would challenge him in the future, the number of experts in South Ruins City was limited. As long as he was careful, his ticket wouldn't be taken away so easily. Li Yunji has successfully challenged Song Chu. Song Chu has lost his title as the 10th genius of South Ruin City and has been replaced by Li Yunji. In addition, Li Yunji doesn't have to accept any challenges for the next 3 months. After the battle between Li Yunji and Song Chu ended, the gray-robed elder in charge of the dueling platform calmly said. Hearing the gray-robed old man's words, everyone secretly envied Li Yunji and pitted Song Chu's bad luck at the same time. There was still half a year left before the grand competition of the Immortal Ruin. However, Song Chu had lost the qualification to participate in the grand competition of the Immortal Ruin. However, the crowd did not lament for too long before they were immediately stunned by the next piece of news. Tang Ao challenges the 9th genius, Jiang Tao. Jiang Tao has accepted the challenge, and it will begin in 1 day. This news instantly caused an uproar in the crowd. Among the top 10 geniuses of South Ruin City, the most famous one wasn't Jun Wuhan, who was ranked first, but Jiang Tao. Jiang Tao was infamous not just in South Ruin City, but even in North Ruin City as well. Once the cultivators who fought with Jiang Tao were defeated, only death awaited them. Furthermore, their deaths would be extremely miserable. Even their hearts would be dug out. It was also because of this that no one dared to challenge Jiang Tao without absolute confidence. But now, someone had taken the initiative to challenge Jiang Tao, and Jiang Tao had accepted the challenge. Everyone wanted to see who this Tang Ao was. Normally speaking, as long as a martial practitioner possessed a platinum rank identity token, no matter how low profile they kept in South Ruin City, it was impossible for no one to recognize them. However, this Tang Ao was truly unknown to everyone. After asking around, they found out that the current 9 Moons Pillhouse Master was called Tang Ao. However, no one believed that the 9 Moon Elixir Pavilion's Tang Ao and the cultivator who challenged Jiang Tao were the same person. However, right at this moment, a bloody figure suddenly appeared on the dueling platform. There was even a trace of blood at the corner of his lips. Seeing this person, everyone's heart trembled. South Ruin City's 9th genius, Jiang Tao. Soon, everyone noticed that Jiang Tao was looking in a certain direction. The martial practitioners in that direction felt a chill run through their bodies as they subconsciously retreated. Very soon, the figures of Tang Ao and the other two were revealed. Jin Chen's face was expressionless. He did not know why these people were so afraid of Jiang Tao. If it wasn't for the fact that his father did not allow it, Jin Chen would have made Jiang Tao call him daddy with a single punch. Chapter 2361. Tang Ao did not even look at Jiang Tao. Instead, he looked at the martial artist who was in charge of the betting. What are my odds? This martial artist's courage was almost broken by Jiang Tao. After Tang Ao asked the question, he trembled for a long time before saying, "Pill Master Tang Ao, the odds between you and senior apprentice brother Jiang Tao is 50-1. So much." Tang Ao's face lit up. Tang Ao did not expect that the battle arena would be so pessimistic about him, giving out odds of 50-1. Tang Ao felt that if there were too many people betting on him to win, then the battle arena would immediately go bankrupt. After thinking for a moment, Tang Ao threw a storage ring over. "There are 10,000 low-grade immortal crystals in here. Bet it all on me," Tang Ao said and left. Tang Ao did not put Jiang Tao in his eyes at all. In Tang Ao's opinion, although Jiang Tao was also at the 5th level of astral reaching realm, the density of his spiritual energy was even worse than Song Chu's. Clearly, he had cultivated an evil martial art and walked a crooked path. Although this kind of martial artist looked very powerful at a certain stage, his achievements in the martial Dao were limited. Until Tang Ao and the other two left the battle arena, the crowd could not believe that 9 Moons Pill Pavilion's Tang Ao dared to challenge Jiang Tao. However, many people secretly guessed that Tang Ao was relying on his identity as a first-grade king-grade immortal pill master, so Jiang Tao did not dare to kill him. Regarding this, the crowd could only say that Tang Ao was thinking too much. One should know that Jiang Tao was originally a martial artist of the North Ruined City. It was because he killed the son of the North Ruined City Lord, Beigong Ju, that he escaped to the South Ruined City. Such a ruthless person would not care about Tang Ao's identity at all. Therefore, Tang Ao's fate could be predicted. At this moment, many people were feeling sorry for him, hoping that Tang Ao would admit defeat on the stage tomorrow. This way, the South Ruined City would have a first-grade king-grade immortal pill master. The news of Tang Ao challenging Jiang Tao instantly spread throughout the city. After learning that Tang Ao was going to challenge Jiang Tao, many people went to greet Tang Ao. He tried to persuade Tang Ao not to let his emotions affect his decisions and to immediately admit defeat on the dueling platform tomorrow. At first, Tang Ao received a few people, and they all nodded in agreement. In the end, there were simply too many people, so Tang Ao decided to deactivate the 9 Moons Elixir House's array formation. Ignoring the crowd outside, Zhang Xian turned his attention to the green rock cauldron in the room. In the Myriad Treasure Tower, Jin Chen was hurriedly called back by Jin Wanchuan. "Chen, now that things have come to this, there's no turning back. During the battle between Tang Ao and Jiang Tao tomorrow, you must be ready to make a move at any time. Once your big brother Tang Ao is in danger, you must immediately make a move to save him. If you have no other choice, you can even make a move to kill Jiang Tao." The same thing was happening in the mayor's residence. Traceless. Tang Ao is the first king-grade immortal pill master in the history of South Ruined City. You must be present for the battle tomorrow. If Tang Ao is in danger, immediately make a move to kill Jiang Tao. In a secret room of the Fang family in the southern city, Fang Hongtian looked at his beloved daughter and said, "Han Rui, take this Tier 3 defense talisman. Tomorrow, when alchemist Tang Ao and Jiang Tao fight, you will receive it. If Pill Master Tang Ao is in danger, shatter the armor talisman and help Pill Master Tang Ao deal a fatal blow. Given Jiang Tao's abilities, he won't be able to break this armor talisman. As for alchemist Tang Ao, He owes our Fong family a huge favor. Chapter 2362. Sigh. My daughter, this is where you're lacking. There are at least 80 forces in South Ruin City that want to befriend Tang Ao. If Tang Ao is in danger tomorrow, someone will definitely appear to kill Jiang Tao. The reason I gave you the armor talisman is so that you can block a fatal blow for Pill Master Tang Ao before anyone else does. That way, Pill Master Tang Ao will be so grateful to you that he might even become your Dao partner. Fong Hongtian stroked his beard as his eyes shone brightly. Fong Hongtian had wanted to get closer to Tang Ao a long time ago, but he never had the chance to. Now, his chance had finally come. Father, Fong Hanrui wanted to say something, but Fong Hongtian cut her off with a wave of his hand. Hanrui, there's no need for the ruins of immortality in Langya Realm. Our Fong family has operated in the ruins of immortality for thousands of years, and the competition in Langya Realm is even fiercer. As a first-rank king-level pill master, Tang Ao's usefulness in the ruins of immortality is limited, but he'll shine the moment he's in Langya Realm. Of course, Tang Ao didn't know that he'd become an important target of protection in a single night. Tang Ao wasn't as nervous about his battle with Jiang Tao as the outside world imagined. After arriving at the ruins of immortality, Tang Ao had been cultivating all the time and hadn't fought many times. However, Tang Ao's strength had increased to a terrifying level. Tang Ao was eager to test his strength through a battle. After meditating for an entire night, Tang Ao slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Then, he prepared to head to South Ruin City's duel arena. The moment he walked out of the cultivation room, Su Shiro immediately passed a talisman to Tang Ao. A fourth-rank Vajra talisman. Tang Ao was slightly moved. This talisman could block a full-powered attack from an early Yin-Yang realm martial practitioner. When he saw Su Shiro's pale face, Tang Ao raised his hand to pat her head, but Su Shiro dodged it. However, Su Shiro dodged and said, "It's all your fault for being so impulsive. Otherwise, I wouldn't have needed to consume my blood essence to extract such a high-grade talisman from the Heavenly Dao talisman." Although Su Shiro said that, she was happy that she could help Tang Ao. Soon, Tang Ao and the other two arrived at the dueling platform. After a night of fermenting, there was almost no one in South Ruin City who didn't know about Tang Ao and Jiang Tao's duel today. South Ruin City's dueling arenas were usually very empty, but today they were packed to the brim. When Fong Hongtian saw Tang Ao, he clapped his hands immediately. At the same time, he secretly praised, "Not bad, not bad. Even when facing an opponent like Jiang Tao, he is still calm and fearless. This kid is extraordinary." Beside Fong Hongtian, Fong Hanrui was extremely speechless when she heard her father's words. Jiang Tao might be infamous, but among the top 10 experts of South Ruin City, the 8 people who were ranked above him weren't afraid of him at all. On the dueling platform, Jiang Tao's eyes were filled with bloodlust. Seeing Tang Ao arrive, Jiang Tao even licked his lip. Tang Ao's figure flashed and appeared on the dueling platform. At this moment, his astral-reaching realm third-level cultivation was completely revealed. Seeing that Tang Ao was really only at the astral-reaching realm third level, many people were secretly disappointed. Chapter 2363. The gray-robed elder was not a martial practitioner of South Ruin City, but a member of the Ruins of Immortality Elder Council. He had received an order from Li Yujun yesterday to protect Tang Ao. Therefore, the gray-robed elder had no choice but to ask Tang Ao if he still wanted to fight before the battle began. Hearing the gray-robed elder's words, the surrounding crowd was stunned. The gray-robed elder's coldness was common knowledge among all martial practitioners of South Ruin City. No matter who stepped onto the stage, the gray-robed elder would always start the battle coldly. However, this time, the gray-robed elder actually asked Tang Ao if he had thought it through. Even Fang Hongtian's eyes narrowed as he cursed inwardly. This old thing is abusing his power for personal gain. Fang Hanrui was speechless. She really couldn't understand why her father would value Tang Ao so much. Tang Ao was only a first-grade immortal pill master after all. Even though Tang Ao had concocted a king-grade immortal pill, Tang Ao was still a first-grade immortal pill master. It was just that Tang Ao was more powerful than other first-grade immortal pill masters. This was Fang Hanrui's evaluation of Tang Ao. In Fang Hanrui's opinion, first-grade immortal pills were powerful, but their effects were limited. They were only useful for martial practitioners below the third level of astral reaching realm. Beyond the third level, the effects of first-grade immortal pills were somewhat limited. Hanrui, come here. Just as Fang Hanrui was wondering why Tang Ao was so popular, she suddenly saw a girl in a blue dress waving at her. Seeing that it was Lan Yuling, who was also ranked 5th among the top 10 geniuses of South Ruin City, Fang Hanrui hurried over. Sister Yuling, what's wrong? Fang Hanrui asked in confusion. Bang! Before Lan Yuling could say anything, she raised her hand and punched a thick tree beside her in half. Then, she said angrily to Fang Hanrui, after today, I will definitely teach this Tang Ao a lesson. Big Sister Yuling, how did he offend you? Fang Hanrui didn't expect that even Lan Yuling had a relationship with Tang Ao. After hearing Lan Yuling's complaints, Fang Hanrui immediately understood that Lan Yuling had encountered the same thing as her. However, Fang Hanrui had always been obedient to Fang Hongtian. However, Lan Yuling was a hot-tempered girl. When the Lan family asked Lan Yuling to protect Tang Ao, she was naturally unwilling. Although Lan Yuling was unwilling, under the persuasion of the people from the Lan clan, Lan Yuling could not help but agree in the end. However, Lan Yuling also hated Tang Ao in her heart. After today's matter was over, she would make Tang Ao suffer. On the dueling platform, Tang Ao had no idea that he had unknowingly offended someone again. At this moment, Tang Ao only wanted to have a good fight with Jiang Tao. He wanted to see just how strong he had become. Humph! You overestimate yourself. Today, I will let you know the terror of a 5th-level astral-reaching expert. Seeing that Tang Ao did not admit defeat, a bloodthirsty smile flashed through Jiang Tao's eyes. However, Jiang Tao's body shook, and a wave of frightening spirit power instantly exploded. He was about to attack Tang Ao. Come at me! The green lotus sword soul instantly condensed behind Tang Ao. Right now, Tang Ao's 7-killing divine Tao had already deduced the 5th sword. Tang Ao also wanted to see how many swords this Jiang Tao could take. Chapter 2364. However, before Jiang Tao could finish his sentence, the ground he was standing on shook violently. An old man in the crowd also released a gray light under his feet. He seemed to be controlling the arena. Tang Ao's side was calm, but Jiang Tao found it hard to even stand. Jiang Tao didn't know what was going on. He could only fly in midair. This time, there was no invisible mountain in midair. Instead, an incomparably sharp storm appeared. Jiang Tao tried his best to defend, but there were still many wind blades that penetrated his defense and landed on his body. Jiang Tao was furious. Tang Ao, I'm going to kill you. This time, Jiang Tao ignored the wind blades and charged towards Tang Ao. Along the way, Tang Ao saw Jiang Tao being brought down by the wind blades. He was in a miserable state. Seeing this scene, Tang Ao was secretly shocked. He didn't know what kind of deep hatred Jiang Tao had for him to want to kill him even in such a situation. Junior Jiang Tao, why don't we fight next time? Tang Ao could naturally see that there were experts helping him in the dark. Even Jin Wanchuan made a move. That invisible mountain at the start was obviously Jin Wanchuan's doing. Roar! If I don't kill you today, I'm not a human. Hearing Tang Ao's words, Jiang Tao was enraged. Jiang Tao was extremely sullen. From the start until now, there had been people interfering with his battle with Tang Ao. Originally, a defensive boundary had to be opened for a battle like this. But now, the gray-robed old man in charge of the arena seemed to have completely forgotten that there was a defensive boundary on the arena. Blood Spear. Jiang Tao realized that as long as he stayed close to Tang Ao, he would be affected in various ways. This time, Jiang Tao decided not to go near Tang Ao. He used the blood spear to kill Tang Ao from afar. In an instant, surging blood qi surged in Jiang Tao's body. 3 blood meridians instantly appeared on Jiang Tao's body. Ha ha ha, Jiang Tao kid, good job. Daughter, here's your chance. On the seats of the Lan clan, the head of the Lan clan let out a shout and immediately pushed Lan Yuling towards the battle arena with his palm. Old man Lan is so shameless. Han Rui, father will lend you a hand. Fang Hongtian said as his peak astral reaching realm cultivation base appeared. He also pushed out his palm, and before Fang Hanrui could react, her body had already been sent flying towards the battling platform. When Tang Ao saw Jiang Tao's bloodline, he was about to shatter it. However, before Tang Ao could make a move, several figures appeared in front of Tang Ao. 2 of the blood meridians were blocked by Fang Hanrui and Lan Yuling with their shield talismans, while the other one was shattered by Jun Wuhan's spear. TSK. Jiang Tao, you actually dared to launch a lethal attack in a battle between cultivators from the same city. I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of the city governor today. Right at this moment, an old man with white hair and beard rose up from the ground, and he smashed his palm down at Jiang Tao. Old ignorant Wu! Shameless Wu, how dare you! Fang Hongtian and the head of the Lan family were shaking with anger. They had thought that they were shameless enough. But now, the 2 of them knew that there was always someone better out there. The Wu family did not have a daughter, and they only had one son, who was not even strong enough. Originally, this kind of thing had nothing to do with the Wu family. But now, Wu Qi had actually attacked Jiang Tao directly. Jiang Tao was scared out of his wits by the scene in front of him. He felt that the entire South Ruined City was filled with evil intentions towards him. Just as Jiang Tao was hesitating, the voice of the elder in gray robes was suddenly heard. Ahem, Jiang Tao, you are not an opponent of alchemist Tang Ao. Hurry up and surrender. Hearing this, Jiang Tao felt that it was hard to breathe. After puking out a mouthful of blood, he fainted immediately. Jiang Tao's last thought before fainting was, "This is too much." As Jiang Tao fainted, martial artists quickly came up to carry him off the platform. Then, the elder in gray robes cleared his throat and said, Tang Ao has successfully challenged Jiang Tao, and is now the 9th genius of the South Ruined City. Tang Ao looked at Jiang Tao, who was being carried off the platform, and was completely dumbfounded. Originally, Tang Ao was prepared to show off his skills today, but Tang Ao did not expect such a thing to happen. This caused Tang Ao to feel powerless, as if he could clearly rely on his strength to make a living, but he chose to rely on his talent. Elder, this is not fair. Jiang Tao, who was being carried off the stage, woke up at this time. Hearing Tang Ao's words, Jiang Tao felt for the first time that sometimes, his opponents were kinder than the audience. Chapter 2365. The duel between Tang Ao and Jiang Tao had been full of surprises from start to finish. No one knew that Tang Ao would challenge Jiang Tao, or that Jiang Tao would lose in such a way. But no matter what, the matter had finally come to an end. Tang Ao had successfully challenged Jiang Tao, obtained the title of 9th place in South Ruined City, and obtained a ticket to participate in the grand competition of the Ruins of Immortality half a year later. Although Tang Ao's current strength was extraordinary, compared to Jun Wuhan and the others, Tang Ao's cultivation was too far behind. But now that he was in the ruins of immortality, because of the 9 dragons' Emperor Jade body, Tang Ao's cultivation progressed at a tremendous pace. However, Tang Ao encountered an unavoidable problem with the 9 dragons' Emperor Jade body. As his cultivation increased, the 9 dragons' Emperor Jade body consumed a terrifying amount of resources. Although Tang Ao had been refining pills in the 9 Moons Elixir House, the number of immortal crystals in the ruins of immortality was limited. Therefore, most martial practitioners paid with contribution points instead of immortal crystals. Even though Tang Ao had specially advertised a 30% discount for paying with immortal crystals, there were still not many martial practitioners who paid with immortal crystals. The ruins of immortality produced a limited amount of immortal crystals. Most of the immortal crystals were transported over from Langyur realm. Moreover, these low-grade immortal crystals were not truly low-grade immortal crystals. They were just scraps of low-grade immortal crystals. Tang Ao had learned of this from Jin Wanchuan. After learning this, Tang Ao's desire to go to Langyur realm increased. Fortunately, the grand competition of the ruins of immortality was around the corner. Therefore, Tang Ao could go to Langyur realm in half a year. Langyur realm was the true martial realm. The laws of heaven and earth in Langyur realm were more complete than those in the ruins of immortality. The spirit energy of heaven and earth in Langyur realm was denser than in the ruins of immortality. Many immortal spirit herbs that could not be found in the ruins of immortality could be found in Langyur realm. The cultivation conditions in Langyur realm were better, but the competition there was also greater. However, Tang Ao didn't have to worry about the Langyur world now. If he wanted to go to the Langyur world, he had to obtain a high ranking in the grand competition of the ruins of immortality. In Tang Ao's cultivation room, the green rock pill furnace's seal had already been broken by Tang Ao using the green rock pill, revealing the original appearance of the Xian Chaos Origin Cauldron. The Xian Chaotic Origin Cauldron was a divine artifact for refining weapons. It could increase the success rate of refining weapons, and it could even turn a Hotian divine artifact into a Xian divine artifact. The Khanate Primordial Chaos Cauldron had a total of 9 layers of restrictions. Even with Tang Ao's cultivation, he could only refine 1 layer of restrictions. However, after refining the first layer of restrictions, Tang Ao discovered that the success rate of using the innate Chaos Cauldron to execute the art of spiritual refinement immediately increased by 10%. This discovery pleasantly surprised Tang Ao. If he could refine all 9 layers of restrictions on the innate Chaos Cauldron, wouldn't he have a 90% success rate when using the innate Chaos Cauldron to execute the art of spiritual refinement in the future? A 90% success rate was a terrifying thing. If the innate Chaos Cauldron's art of spiritual refinement could reach a 90% success rate, who knew how many divine artifacts Tang Ao could forge? The battle between Tang Ao and Jiang Tao didn't cause much of a stir in South Ruin City. Anyone with a brain knew that everyone wanted Jiang Tao to lose. Jiang Tao didn't lose to Tang Ao, he lost to the general trend. The hearts of the people, the general trend, Jiang Tao had no choice but to lose. The battle between Jiang Tao and Tang Ao passed very quickly. Right now, the most popular topic in South Ruin City was the Ruins of Immortality auction that was going to be held in 3 months. Chapter 2366. Of course, the immortal ruins where the Chamber of Commerce started its business wasn't the one where Tang Ao was currently located. The Langyur realm was divided into 5 regions. Apart from the Grand Heaven domain in the center, the other 4 regions were made up of countless continents. The Chamber of Commerce in the Ruins of Immortality basically had branches in all the continents of the Langyur realm. They even had branches in places like the Ruins of Immortality. One could imagine how huge the Chamber of Commerce was. It was said that the current realm lord of the Langya realm was a half-step Dao master. However, the Chamber of Commerce had a Dao master expert, and it seemed that the expert wasn't just a Dao master. Therefore, even the lord of the Langya realm had to be courteous to the Chamber of Commerce. Although the Chamber of Commerce was developing rapidly and had amazing strength, it had never thought of replacing the Realm Lord. Instead, it had tried to befriend the Langya Realm Lord and use the Langya Realm as a springboard to expand to the surrounding martial realms. Now, many branches of the Chamber of Commerce had sprung up in the three martial realms adjacent to the Langya Realm. Having a branch in the Immortal Ruins was a blessing to all the warriors in the Immortal Ruins. However, the auction of the Immortal Ruins only opened once every 100 years. 3 months later was the 100-year opening date. Although the items in the auction of the Immortal Ruins were carefully selected by the people of the Langya realm, there were also good things in the auction of the Immortal Ruins. At the auction of the Immortal Ruins 600 years ago, a warrior bought a broken sword. No one could tell what it was, but it was extremely expensive. The warrior was rich and overbearing, so he bought the broken sword. After refining it, he found out that the broken sword was a famous Khanate artifact remnant Imperial Palace. The Khanate artifact remnant Imperial Palace was originally a broken sword. Therefore, although it looked like a broken sword, it was actually a complete Khanate artifact. Although the Chamber of Commerce was extremely regretful, it didn't recover the broken sword. It even made a bold claim that if the owner of the broken sword got into trouble because of the broken sword, the Chamber of Commerce would help once. Seeing this, Tang Ao put down the jade slip that introduced the auction of the Immortal Ruins. Although the probability of something like the broken sword happening was not high, there was no doubt that it would be able to get something good from the auction of the Immortal Ruins. 3 months, huh? Tang Ao murmured. Tang Ao decided to go to the auction of the Immortal Ruins. Moreover, he could get rid of the things that Tang Ao didn't need during the auction of the Immortal Ruins. At that very moment, Tang Ao had many low-grade immortal artifacts on him. All of them had been forged by Tang Ao's spirit forging thrice. With Tang Ao's current ability, it would be very difficult for him to increase the number of times he could forge the immortal artifacts even with the help of the Xiantian primordial cauldron. However, Tang Ao still decided to use the Xiantian primordial cauldron to forge all the immortal artifacts once before auctioning them off in the ruins of immortality. Tang Ao might not be interested in these immortal weapons, but at least in the ruins of immortality, these immortal weapons were considered treasures. Chapter 2367. However, while contribution points were useful in South Ruins City, they were useless in the Ruins of Immortality auction. The Ruins of Immortality auction only accepted immortal crystals. If one didn't have enough immortal crystals on hand, they could either auction their treasures or sell their items directly to the Ruins of Immortality auction. Normally speaking, selling an item directly to the Ruins of Immortality auction would fetch a slightly lower price. Therefore, most martial practitioners would choose to auction their items. Dong dong dong. At this moment, someone knocked on Tang Ao's door. Tang Ao scanned the room with his sole remembrance and discovered that it was Su Shiro. Tang Ao immediately removed the restriction with a wave of his hand. "Junior sister Su, what's the matter?" "This is for you," Su Shiro said as she handed over a jade slip. "What's this?" Tang Ao took the jade slip and asked casually. "You'll know once you open it." Su Shiro didn't tell him directly. Instead, she kept him in suspense. Tang Ao smiled casually and opened the jade slip. After opening the jade slip, Tang Ao's face lit up with joy. Tang Ao was just thinking about how to get a list of the Ruins of Immortality auction, but Tang Ao didn't expect Su Shiro to get it so quickly. "Junior sister Su, where did you get this jade slip?" Tang Ao had been paying attention to the Ruins of Immortality auction for the past few days. Therefore, Tang Ao knew that although a part of the auction list had been leaked, he didn't know where it was or who had it. "I'm not telling you," Sushiro said as she turned around and left, leaving a puzzled Tang Ao behind. Seeing Sushiro's expression, Tang Ao smiled bitterly. Tang Ao only needed a glance to know that the jade slip was real. Moreover, Tang Ao also knew that the jade slip only contained part of the auction items. However, the Ruins of Immortality auction had always been special. Before other auctions, the auction list was available to almost everyone. However, the auction of the Ruins of Immortality was different. It was very difficult to obtain the auction list. At least until now, Tang Ao had no idea how the auction list was obtained. At the same time, Tang Ao was also a little curious as to how Sushiro managed to get her hands on an auction list. As a matter of fact, it was difficult to obtain the list of the Ruins of Immortality auction. However, if one's item was valuable enough, it would not be difficult to obtain the list. Sushiro had put up 100 high-quality third-grade immortal talismans for auction, which was why she had obtained the auction list of the Ruins of Immortality. However, this kind of auction list was not available to everyone. There were only 10 spots. In other words, if the value of the item you put up for auction was high enough, and you put it up for auction in a timely manner, you would be able to obtain the auction list of the Ruins of Immortality. Tang Ao did not ask how Sushiro had obtained the auction list. He opened it and read it carefully. There were a total of 300 items on this list. If possible, Tang Ao wanted all 300 items. However, Tang Ao knew that it would not be easy for him to get 10 items, let alone 300 items. The Ruins of Immortality auction only accepted immortal crystals. Tang Ao did not even have 1,000 immortal crystals on him right now. The cheapest item on the list was priced at 10,000 immortal crystals. Of course, these 300 items were only representative items that were brought out in advance. None of the final treasures of the auction were on the list. Chapter 2368. The second item that caught Tang Ao's eye wasn't simple either. It was a black stone brick. This stone brick seemed to be a part of a mural. Unfortunately, this was the only stone brick that was being sold, so the mural wasn't complete. However, Tang Ao could vaguely determine that there should be 3 such bricks. The reason why this black stone brick attracted Tang Ao was because there was a red bead on the mural. Others might not know what this bead was, but Tang Ao was very clear about it. Tang Ao could even confirm that the mural depicted the primal fire elemental bead. The primal fire elemental bead was a treasure that could allow the nether flame to advance to a grade 6 immortal fire. It was extremely rare. This stone brick could possibly record the location of the primal fire elemental bead. Even if that wasn't the case, this stone brick and the primal fire elemental bead were definitely closely related. Therefore, Tang Ao had to think of a way to get his hands on the purple cloud's sweet dew and this black stone brick. As for the other items, Tang Ao looked around. Although they weren't bad, there wasn't anything that Tang Ao really wanted. Of course, if the price was right, Tang Ao would also choose a few items to bid for. After looking through the auction list, Tang Ao put it away. After putting away the auction list, Tang Ao adjusted his state of mind. Then, he took out the 9-colored sky fire crystal and the glazed flame amber. Now, Tang Ao could finally advance his nether flame to a grade 3 immortal fire. With a thought, the nether flame flew out of Tang Ao's body and floated above Tang Ao's body, burning slowly. Very quickly, after sensing the 9-colored sky fire crystal and the glazed flame amber, the nether flame actually trembled in excitement. However, it didn't seem to know how to choose, so it kept hesitating on what to devour first. Seeing this appearance, Tang Ao knew that his netherworld flame was about to evolve into a fire spirit. When the Black Crow demonic flame's fire spirit was born, time was tight, so the mysterious woman didn't let the black crow demonic flame swallow his flame source. But if Tang Ao's netherworld flame evolved into a fire spirit, Tang Ao would definitely let it absorb his flame source. With a faint smile, Tang Ao threw the 9-colored heaven fire crystal into the netherworld flame. The netherworld flame let out a happy cheer before it began to refine the 9-colored heaven flame crystal. As the netherworld flame refined the 9-colored heaven fire crystal, the originally purple netherworld flame turned into a deep purple, even turning into a dark purple color. Once the netherworld flame turned purple-black, it would become the legendary immortal netherworld flame. But before it evolved into the immortal netherworld flame, the deep purple netherworld flame would only become purple-black. This time, it was very easy for the netherworld flame to devour the 9-colored heaven fire crystal. An hour later, the netherworld flame's aura changed, and the aura of a grade 1 immortal fire instantly filled the entire cultivation room. Little Flame, who was sleeping at the side, also opened his eyes at this moment. Seemingly noticing that Little Flame had opened his eyes, the netherworld flame actually flew towards Little Flame, seemingly showing off as it flew one round around Little Flame. However, Little Flame didn't seem to notice the netherworld flame's dazzling display. After a yawn, Little Flame continued to sleep. But at this moment, the netherworld flame moved closer to Little Flame, full of provocation. At this moment, Little Flame seemed to be a little impatient. With a snap of his fingers, a 6-colored flame appeared on Little Flame's claws. Chapter 2369. Little Flame proudly looked at the netherworld flame and then sucked it in with its little mouth, directly swallowing the 6-colored flame into its stomach. It even let out a proper burp. Tang Ao shook his head helplessly when he saw Little Flame's appearance. Tang Ao had gained a lot from this trip to the Heavenly Fire Ruins, but Little Flame had also gained a lot. After communicating with Little Flame, Tang Ao learned that Little Flame had found a barrier in the depths of the lava pool. There was a fiery plaza inside the barrier. There were 23 strange flames in the fiery plaza. Little Flame had devoured all of them. After devouring all of them, Little Flame had condensed the 6-colored flame from before. Tang Ao sensed for a moment and discovered that the 6-colored flame Little Flame had summoned had reached the level of a grade 6 immortal flame. However, Little Flame couldn't summon this grade 6 immortal flame for a long period of time. It had only been summoned for 10 breaths, but Tang Ao already felt waves of weakness coming from Little Flame's body. After Little Flame withdrew the 6-colored flame, it immediately lay down lazily to the side and slept again. The strange flames Little Flame had swallowed not long ago hadn't been completely absorbed and refined yet. After seeing Little Flame lie down, the nether flame floated in front of Tang Ao again. This time, there was no need for Tang Ao's help. The nether flame wrapped around the glazed flame amber and began refining it. The nether flame only took an hour to refine the 9-colored heavenly fire crystal, but it was extremely slow when refining the glazed flame amber. Although it was slow, it was still refining. After seeing that the nether flame could refine the glazed flame amber, Tang Ao made a few hand seals. Then, a door between the void and reality slowly opened behind Tang Ao. When this void door opened, the hearts of every South Ruins city martial practitioner who had awakened a life soul related to the netherworld shuddered. The nether life soul in their bodies trembled as if it had seen the nether monarch. In an instant, countless people looked around, but they didn't find anything. Inside the cultivation room, Tang Ao sat quietly with his legs crossed. At this moment, Tang Ao's soul thought had entered the nether realm through the door. Tang Ao had awakened a nether life soul for a long time, but this was the first time Tang Ao had entered the nether realm as a soul. When Tang Ao's soul entered the nether realm, many souls immediately floated toward Tang Ao. However, these souls couldn't get close to Tang Ao. When they were within 3,000 feet of Tang Ao, they immediately trembled and didn't dare move an inch. Tang Ao also noticed that there was a huge rune floating under his soul. This rune was glowing with purple light, and it covered a radius of 1,000 feet. The entire netherworld is pitch black and gloomy, but when Tang Ao enters, it is like a bright lamp that attracts countless souls. But these souls, whether they were human or foreign race martial artists, or even some beast souls, none of them could come within 1,000 feet of Tang Ao. At this time, Tang Ao suddenly felt a strange fluctuation. It was as if something was staring at him. Tang Ao raised his head. It was like a huge mountain. Is this a mountain of the Nether Realm? Tang Ao didn't know much about the Nether Realm, but the black shadow in front of him seemed to be a mountain of the Nether Realm to Tang Ao. As Tang Ao approached, the enormous rune on Tang Ao's body moved along with Tang Ao. In an instant, the light of the rune illuminated the surrounding area. After it was illuminated, Tang Ao couldn't help but gasp. Chapter 2370. But neither the one summoned by Ming Di nor Tang Ao was as big as this claw. When Ming Di summoned it, it was thousands of feet long. When Tang Ao summoned it, it was only a few hundred feet long. But now Tang Ao saw that this unknown nether beast claw was tens of thousands of feet tall and tens of thousands of feet long. Tang Ao was so shocked that he couldn't speak. This nether beast that seemed to have come from the 9 hells was in a deep sleep. Although it was in a deep sleep, its terrifying aura still swept through the surroundings. There were very few strong souls within a 10,000-mile radius of this nether beast. As for those weak souls, they only appeared around the nether beast because the nether beast had completely ignored their existence. Tang Ao's arrival caused the nether beast's claw to move slightly. But after just a slight movement, the nether beast no longer had any reaction. Tang Ao had a vague feeling that one day, he would be able to summon this terrifying nether beast in its entirety. Moreover, Tang Ao felt that this ancient nether beast's strength had probably surpassed the Tao Master realm. Although this ancient nether beast did not actively release its aura, Tang Ao could feel the surging power within its body. When Tang Ao sensed this ancient nether beast, Tang Ao even received a thought. Tang Ao's heart skipped a beat. This ancient nether beast was actually yearning to awaken. The reason why this ancient nether beast was in a deep sleep was firstly because it was injured, and secondly because Tang Ao was too weak. After it awakened, Tang Ao would not be able to withstand the contract power of the underworld life soul. While Tang Ao was secretly shocked, he nodded deeply at the void in the distance. That seemed to be where the head of the ancient nether beast was. After Tang Ao nodded, a crack slowly appeared in the void. A vertical eye glanced at Tang Ao, then closed in exhaustion. After leaving the nether beast's area, Tang Ao saw many wandering Yin soldiers. These Yin soldiers didn't have any consciousness. They hunted and devoured souls in the netherworld. With a thought from Tang Ao, a Yin soldier immediately came under Tang Ao's control. After Tang Ao took control of this Yin soldier, the Yin soldier's deathly still eyes suddenly lit up with soul flames. This general kowtows in salute to Emperor Hades. As the ghost soldier spoke, he knelt down on one knee with a respectful expression. Tang Ao was very satisfied as he sized up this ghost soldier. This ghost soldier was wearing a pitch-black armor that was covered with runes. He seemed to be a warrior from ancient times. When Tang Ao used his sky polarity eyes to look, he found that the body of the ghost soldier had almost merged with his armor. His entire body was covered in pitch-black armor, and even his body was as black as ink. Streaks of Yin underworld aura emanated from him, making him look sinister and domineering. The Yin soldier held a long spear in his left hand and a large shield in his right hand. There was a huge mouth on the shield that was continuously chewing. Tang Ao had also summoned Yin soldiers before in the black-yellow continent. However, the ones Tang Ao had summoned back then were not as powerful as this one. At this moment, this Een soldier had a cultivation base of 3rd level astral reaching realm, which was equal to Tang Ao's cultivation base. Soon, Tang Ao realized something was wrong. When Tang Ao's real body suppressed his cultivation base to 2nd level astral reaching realm, this Een soldier's cultivation base had also dropped to 2nd level astral reaching realm. Chapter 2371. After all, the Underworld Emperor had relied on this underworld life spirit to reign supreme in the Xianhuang world back then. As Tang Ao's cultivation state rose, the power of the underworld life spirit was slowly released in his hands as well. As Tang Ao's consciousness left, the ghost soldier returned to his dazed state. He stood up in a daze and continued to kill the souls around him. After leaving the ghost soldier, Tang Ao saw many more similar ancient warriors. The armor and weapons of these ancient warriors were not only similar to the ghost soldier from before, but they were also similar. However, this time, Tang Ao didn't study them one by one. Tang Ao's purpose of entering the underworld with his soul was to search for the netherworld flame. After closing his eyes and sensing for a moment, Tang Ao immediately sensed the location of the netherworld flame. In other places, even in the 36 realms of the true martial domain, only the demon and ghost domain had the netherworld flame. Even if the other martial domains had the netherworld flame, the amount was pitifully small. However, Tang Ao had the underworld life spirit and could enter the underworld freely. Although the netherworld flame wasn't as common as souls in the underworld, there was still a terrifying amount of it. After walking for a distance, Tang Ao waved his hand and a ball of flame flew over from the void. However, as this ball of flame flew over, Tang Ao released his hand and the ball of netherworld flame stayed in place before quickly disappearing into the netherworld. The reason why he didn't collect this ball of netherworld flame was because it was only a grade 6 spiritual flame. What Tang Ao wanted to find now was a grade 9 netherworld flame. To use the netherworld flame to evolve into the immortal flame, ordinary people only needed a few treasures. However, as Tang Ao's understanding of the netherworld flame deepened, Tang Ao knew that there were many requirements for the netherworld flame to evolve into the immortal flame. First, the netherworld flame had to be nurtured from a grade 1 spiritual flame to a grade 9 immortal flame. This way, the netherworld flame could become the immortal flame. However, there was a very important prerequisite. It had to be fused with the underworld life spirit before the grade 9 immortal flame could become the immortal flame. There was only one underworld life spirit in the vast 1,000 worlds, and it had already been awakened by Tang Ao. This meant that if Tang Ao didn't die, no one else would be able to obtain the immortal flame. Here, just as Tang Ao was looking around, Tang Ao's eyes lit up. Not far from Tang Ao, there were 3 balls of flames floating quietly. Tang Ao was overjoyed when he saw the 3 balls of flames. That was because these 3 balls of flames were shockingly grade 9 spiritual fire, the netherworld flame. After obtaining the 3 balls of flames, Tang, spirit by Ao, spirit by Tang, netherworld flame, Tang flame, spirit, life, flame, world, and world spirit. World, emperor, flame, Tang of world, emperor by Tang emperor, Tang Ao of Ao. The underworld was too vast. Even with Tang Ao's current cultivation, he could only wander around the periphery of the underworld. If he wanted to go deeper into the underworld, he would need Tang Ao's real body, or Tang Ao's cultivation. After reaching the celestial turbid realm, he would be able to move unhindered in the underworld like Emperor Ming. Chapter 2372. Could it be that there are only 3 grade 9 netherworld flames in the outer perimeter? Tang Ao laughed bitterly. Tang Ao had been here for nearly 2 hours, But what made Tang Ao helpless was that ever since he obtained the 3 netherworld flames, the grade of the netherworld flames he encountered were much lower. Now that Tang Ao had many 9-colored heaven fire crystals, as long as he found the grade 9 netherworld flame, he could immediately advance to a grade 1 immortal flame. This was also the chance for Tang Ao to mass-produce a grade 1 immortal flame, but now Tang Ao knew that he was overthinking it. However, Tang Ao did not give up. Tang Ao did not believe that there were only 3 grade 9 netherworld flames in the outer perimeter of the underworld. Thinking of this, Tang Ao sat down cross-legged and began to circulate the underworld life spirit to sense the location of the netherworld flames. After Tang Ao circulated the underworld life spirit with all his might, with Tang Ao as the center, it radiated outwards. Everything within 100,000 feet was within Tang Ao's perception. Tang Ao saw ancient netherworld beasts that seemed to traverse the underworld, and he saw the netherworld sword hanging upside down in the void. He saw many Een soldiers and netherworld flames, but most of them were souls. This time, Tang Ao's target was the netherworld flames. However, under Tang Ao's perception, although there were many netherworld flames, there was not a single one that met the requirements. As for those that went deeper into the underworld, under Tang Ao's perception, there was only nothingness. He could not see anything. Tang Ao knew that it was not because there was nothing in the depths of the underworld, but because Tang Ao's cultivation was limited. His soul remembrance was unable to explore the depths of the underworld. Here. After Tang Ao searched back and forth a few times, Tang Ao finally found the grade 9 netherworld flame in the northwest direction. However, this time, there was only one grade 9 netherworld flame. It was clear that the probability of finding 3 suitable netherworld flames at once like the first time was very low. After all, what Tang Ao had come into contact with was only the outermost region of the netherworld. I'm not looking anymore. After spending so much effort, I only managed to find a bunch of 9th grade netherworld flames. Tang Ao sighed. Then, he brought the 4 netherworld flames behind him and left the netherworld world. As the door to the netherworld disappeared, the martial practitioners of South Ruins City felt their bodies lighten. It was as if the heavy mountain that had been pressing down on them had suddenly disappeared. When Tang Ao came out with the 4 netherworld flames, Tang Ao saw that his netherworld flame was still evolving. At this moment, the glass flame amber was still burning slowly in the nether flame. However, compared to the beginning, the glass flame amber was more than half burned. Moreover, the aura of the nether flame had increased significantly. It had surpassed the level of a grade 2 immortal flame and was advancing towards a grade 3 immortal flame. In a corner, Little Flame was sleeping quietly on the ground, as if it was still digesting the flames it had devoured not long ago. Occasionally, its ears would twitch as if it was sensing the changes in the nether flame. This scene was rather interesting. Tang Ao waved his hand, and the nether flame that he had been thinking about earlier instantly appeared. After finding the 4 netherworld flames, Tang Ao took out 4 9-colored heavenly fire crystals and threw them over without any hesitation. The moment they sensed the 9-colored heavenly fire crystals, the 4 netherworld flames trembled. They almost instinctively wrapped around the 9-colored heavenly fire crystals and started refining them. Chapter 2373. These 4 clusters of netherworld flames were extremely valuable. Because there was only one netherworld soul and these netherworld flames were not nurtured from a grade 1 spiritual flame, these 4 clusters of netherworld flames were destined to be unable to evolve into immortal netherworld flames. But this did not affect their value. There were very few flames in the true martial domain that could be upgraded, and the netherworld flame was considered a powerful flame that could be upgraded. Therefore, Tang Ao estimated that if he only took out 1 cluster of flames to bid, the price would not be too low. As for taking out all 4 clusters of netherworld flames to bid, Tang Ao did not have this thought at all. Although it was very easy for Tang Ao to obtain a grade 1 immortal flame, Tang Ao still understood the principle of rare things being precious. Not to mention taking out 4 clusters of netherworld flames to bid. Even if he took out 2 clusters, the value of the netherworld flame would be greatly reduced. Therefore, the most correct method was to take out a cluster of netherworld flames and put up other treasures for auction. After sealing the 4 clusters of flames in jade bottles, Tang Ao quietly waited for his original netherworld flame to successfully evolve. This wait lasted for 3 days. At the beginning, the netherworld flame's speed of fusing with the brilliant flame amber was relatively fast. But as the outer shell of the brilliant flame amber melted, the netherworld flame's refinement of the brilliant flame amber's core became extremely slow. Fortunately, after 3 days, this cluster of netherworld flame finally refined the brilliant flame amber and became a grade 3 immortal flame. As the brilliant flame amber was refined, an almost undetectable heartbeat sound came from within the netherworld flame. This sound was very soft. If it wasn't for his sharp senses, he would not have noticed it. However, Tang Ao was a martial artist with very sharp senses. Moreover, this cluster of netherworld flame was Tang Ao's soul flame. Therefore, Tang Ao's perception of the changes in the netherworld flame was the clearest. Now, Tang Ao could clearly feel that there was a life being born within his cluster of netherworld flame. After seeing the birth of the Black Crow Demon Flame Fire Spirit, Tang Ao knew that his netherworld flame was finally going to give birth to a fire spirit. Generally speaking, the earlier a flame spirit was born, the better the flame. Take the Black Crow Demonic Flame for example. It only gave birth to flames when it reached the grade 6 immortal flame. In terms of potential, it could only be considered average. However, Tang Ao's netherworld flame had already given birth to a fire spirit when it was only a grade 3 immortal flame. Its potential had already reached a high level. As for the best flame, it was the flame that gave birth to a fire spirit when it was a grade 1 immortal flame. It wasn't that this type of flame didn't exist, but that some top powerhouses had set their eyes on it. It was simply not for other martial artists to get their hands on it. However, the potential of a flame did not represent the height that the flame would eventually reach. It could only be said that the greater the potential of a flame, the greater the room for growth. Like Tang Ao's netherworld flame, its potential could only be considered high, but once the netherworld flame matured into the immortal netherworld flame, it would immediately become one of the 10 great flames in the world. There were countless types of strange flames in the world, but among these flames, there were 10 that were the most powerful. Among the 10 types of flames, there were 4 with special grade potential, 3 high grade, 2 medium grade, and 1 low grade. Among them, the flame that was ranked after the low grade flame matured to its peak was the most worthy of attention. This kind of flame was called the worldly flame. The worldly flame was not a kind of flame, but a general term. That was, when a low-grade flame matured into a grade 9 immortal flame, it could be called the worldly flame. Kacha, kacha. Just as Tang Ao was thinking about it, there was a cracking sound coming from the netherworld flame. Then, Tang Ao immediately saw that the netherworld flame was shrinking, and in the center of the netherworld flame, there was a pitch-black egg. This egg was covered in flames and it was filled with cracks. At this moment, the netherworld flames were entering the eggshell through these cracks, being absorbed by the life inside the eggshell. And the life inside the eggshell was releasing a strong aura, wanting to break out of the shell. But as time passed, Tang Ao immediately saw that something was wrong. The netherworld flame had almost been completely absorbed by the eggshell, but the life inside the eggshell had not broken out. Instead, its aura was becoming weaker. Seeing this, Tang Ao's heart filled with anxiety. Tang Ao did not have time to hesitate at all. When Tang Ao saw that the last bit of netherworld flame was about to enter the eggshell, he immediately crushed a jade bottle. With a wave of his hand, a cluster of netherworld flame flew into the eggshell. The moment the netherworld flame appeared, Tang Ao could feel the eggshell tremble a bit. It also sent a longing feeling to Tang Ao. Chapter 2374. A suction force came from the flaming eggshell, and the two netherworld flames, which were Grade 1 immortal flames, were sucked in. After absorbing the two netherworld flames, a caw-caw sound came from the eggshell. At the same time, an aura of life rapidly condensed within the eggshell. Tang Ao circulated his spiritual energy and activated the heavenly extreme pupils. Using the heavenly extreme pupils, Tang Ao saw traces of flame essence condense into a pocket-sized person. This pocket-sized person seemed to be in a deep sleep. After sensing Tang Ao's gaze, the pocket-sized person became a little excited and its aura became clearer. In an instant, a mysterious aura spread out and the eggshell completely shattered. The pocket-sized person appeared within the flames. However, the surging flames didn't burn the pocket-sized person. Tang Ao looked over and saw that the pocket-sized person looked like a little girl. She was dressed in a gorgeous dark purple robe. Although she was only the size of Tang Ao's palm, her pair of big eyes seemed to be sparkling. My fire spirit actually looks like a little girl. Interesting. Tang Ao looked at the pocket-sized person sitting on the flames and said calmly, "My fire spirit actually looks like a little girl. Interesting." After Tang Ao said that, Tang Ao didn't expect the fire spirit to look at him with the same gaze. It was as if in her eyes, Tang Ao was the fire spirit and she was the master. You can talk?" Tang Ao was surprised. Although this was Tang Ao's second time seeing a real fire spirit, Tang Ao had learned from some jade slips that a fire spirit's intelligence was very low when it was first born. This fire spirit was able to talk when it was just born, so its intelligence was obviously not low. You can talk?" After Tang Ao finished speaking, the fire spirit imitated Tang Ao's words. However, her voice was very immature and sounded very jerky. At this time, Tang Ao also understood that this little fellow should be able to speak, but her intelligence was not very high. Now, she could only reach the level of imitating his speech. However, Tang Ao was also pleasantly surprised. Previously, when Tang Ao saw the birth of the Black Crow Devil Flame's fire spirit, he was so stunned that he didn't even know to absorb it. At this moment, his fire spirit didn't need to be taught at all. At this moment, she had already absorbed all the netherworld flames in her body. At this moment, Tang Ao's room was no longer as terrifyingly hot as before, but Tang Ao's mind moved. The fire spirit immediately understood Tang Ao's meaning. Its figure flickered and immediately turned into a burning netherworld flame. Although this netherworld flame was only a Grade 3 immortal flame, its temperature was already extremely close to a Grade 4 immortal flame. After the birth of the fire spirit, the power of the flames would increase, and at the same time they would become more flexible. The netherworld flame at this moment had a kind of connection with Tang Ao. Moreover, as time passed, their tacit understanding would become more and more proficient. Just when Tang Ao wanted to try and see what other characteristics the netherworld flame had after awakening the fire spirit, the netherworld flame transformed and turned back into the appearance of the fire spirit. Looking at the fire spirit, Tang Ao pondered for a moment and said, "In the future, I will call you Ziyen." "Ziyen, Ziyen." The fire spirit said it twice. Although she didn't really understand what Tang Ao meant, Tang Ao could feel that the fire spirit seemed to be very happy. With a thought, Ziyen flew back into Tang Ao's soul sea. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.